The moment Vanessa Hale pressed herself against Adrian Cole's chest in the middle of a crowded park, whispering desperately, "Please, just pretend you know me," his entire world tilted on its axis. He didn't know this woman, didn't recognize the terror in her eyes, or understand why someone so clearly wealthy and powerful would choose a stranger holding his daughter's hand as her shield. But when he saw the man stalking toward them, jaw clenched, eyes burning with possessive rage, Adrian made a choice that would drag him into a nightmare he never asked for. What started as a simple act of protection became a deadly game of deception, obsession, and unexpected love that would test everything he believed about safety, trust, and the lengths a father would go to protect what mattered most. If you want to see how a single moment of kindness can turn into a fight for survival, stay with me until the end. And don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. The spring afternoon carried the kind of warmth that made people forget winter had ever existed. Adrian Cole sat on a weathered park bench, watching his 7-year-old daughter Lily chase pigeons across the grass with the fearless enthusiasm only children possessed. Her laughter rang out like bells, pure and unburdened, and for a moment Adrian allowed himself to simply breathe. These moments were everything. After 3 years of single parenthood, he'd learned to measure his life not in achievements or milestones, but in afternoons like this. Ordinary, peaceful, safe. The divorce had been brutal, the custody battle worse, but he'd won what mattered most. Lily was his. And he'd built their life with the same careful precision he brought to everything. Structured, predictable, protected. "Daddy, look!" Lily spun in a circle, arms outstretched, her pink jacket billowing around her. "I'm a bird!" "You're definitely a bird," Adrian called back, his voice warm with affection. "The prettiest bird in the whole park." She giggled and ran toward the fountain, her braids bouncing. Adrian shifted forward on the bench, keeping her in sight. Always in sight. That was the rule. He'd read enough horror stories, knew enough statistics. The world was unpredictable and often cruel, but within the small radius of their daily routine, he maintained control. That illusion lasted exactly 43 more seconds. The woman appeared so suddenly, Adrian didn't have time to process her approach. One moment he was watching Lily, the next a stranger was standing directly in front of him, breathing hard, her designer heels clicking against the concrete path. She was tall, elegant, dressed in a charcoal business suit that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, her makeup flawless despite the panic evident in her hazel eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly, her voice low and urgent. "I know this is insane, but I need your help, right now." Adrian stood automatically, instinct putting him between this stranger and his daughter. "I don't... Please." She glanced over her shoulder, genuine fear flickering across her composed features. "There's a man following me. He won't leave me alone. I just need you to pretend we know each other. Just for a minute, please." Adrian followed her gaze and spotted him immediately. A man in an expensive suit threading through the crowd with deliberate purpose, his attention locked on the woman in front of Adrian. There was something wrong in his expression, something intense and unbalanced that made Adrian's protective instincts flare. "Please," the woman whispered again. "I'm begging you." Lily had stopped playing and was walking back toward them, curiosity bright on her face. Adrian had maybe 3 seconds to make a decision. Every cautious bone in his body screamed to walk away, to grab Lily's hand and leave immediately. This wasn't his problem. He didn't know this woman, didn't understand what he was walking into, but he looked at her eyes, really looked, and saw something he recognized, the same desperation he'd felt during his own darkest days, when the court system had threatened to take Lily away, when he'd felt utterly powerless against forces bigger than himself. "Okay," he said quietly, "what do you need me to do?" Relief flooded her features. "Just, can I stand close to you? Make it look like we're together?" Adrian nodded once. The woman stepped closer, not quite touching him, but near enough that anyone watching would assume familiarity. Her perfume was subtle and expensive, jasmine and something else he couldn't identify. Up close, he could see the tension in her jaw, the way her hands trembled slightly despite her composed exterior. "Daddy?" Lily arrived at his side, looking up at the stranger with open curiosity. "Who's this?" The woman looked down at Lily, and something in her expression softened. "Hi there. I'm Vanessa. I'm sorry for interrupting your day with your dad. It's okay. Lily smiled that gap-toothed grin that melted Adrian's heart every single time. I'm Lily. I'm 7. 7 is a wonderful age, Vanessa said, and despite the fear still evident in her posture, her smile for Lily seemed genuine. The man was closer now, weaving between a group of teenagers, his focus absolute. Adrian shifted slightly, positioning himself more deliberately between Vanessa and the approaching threat. His hand found Lily's shoulder, keeping her close. Is that him? He asked quietly. Vanessa nodded, her breathing shallow. His name is Marcus. We dated 2 years ago. It ended badly. He won't accept that it's over. Adrian watched Marcus approach, cataloging details automatically. Mid-30s, athletic build, expensive watch, custom-tailored suit. Everything about him screamed money and privilege. But his eyes were wrong. Too bright, too focused, burning with an intensity that made Adrian's skin crawl. When Marcus finally reached them, he stopped 3 feet away, his gaze locked on Vanessa. He barely glanced at Adrian or Lily, as if they were merely obstacles in his path. Vanessa. His voice was smooth, controlled, but Adrian heard the edge beneath it. We need to talk. I've told you repeatedly, Marcus. There's nothing to discuss. Vanessa's voice was steady, professional, but Adrian felt her shift closer to him. I've asked you to stop contacting me. I've been clear about my boundaries. Boundaries? Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Is that what you call this? Hiding behind some random guy in a park? Adrian cleared his throat. She's not hiding. She's asking you to respect her wishes and leave her alone. Marcus's attention finally shifted to him, and Adrian met his gaze without flinching. He'd dealt with entitled men before. His ex-wife's lawyer had been cut from the same cloth. Men who believed money and status made them untouchable, who viewed other people as obstacles rather than human beings. This doesn't concern you, Marcus said dismissively. Vanessa and I have history. We have unfinished business. The only business we had was business, Marcus. Vanessa's voice hardened. And even that ended when you were removed from the board. Something dangerous flashed in Marcus's expression. Removed. Is that what you're calling it? You orchestrated my humiliation, Vanessa, turned the board against me, made me look incompetent. You made yourself look incompetent when you tried to embezzle company funds, Vanessa shot back. I simply brought the evidence to light. The pieces were clicking together now. Adrian glanced at Vanessa with new understanding. Not just wealthy, powerful. And Marcus wasn't just an ex-boyfriend. He was someone who'd lost everything and blamed her for it. Daddy, Lily whispered, tugging his sleeve. That man looks angry. It's okay, sweetheart, Adrian said quietly, though his own instincts were screaming that it wasn't okay at all. He looked at Marcus. I think you should go. Marcus laughed, the sound sharp and humorless. You think you can tell me what to do? You don't even know who she is, do you? He gestured at Vanessa. Vanessa Hale, CEO of Hale Industries, worth about $400 million. And you're what? Some middle-class nobody playing hero in a park? I'm someone asking you to walk away, Adrian said evenly, before this becomes a bigger problem than it needs to be. For a long moment, Marcus just stared at him. Adrian could see him calculating, weighing options, deciding whether this random stranger was worth the trouble. Finally, his gaze slid back to Vanessa. This isn't over, Marcus said quietly. You can't avoid me forever. Watch me try. Vanessa's voice didn't waver. Marcus held her gaze for another beat, then turned and walked away, his movements controlled but radiating barely suppressed rage. Adrian watched him go, tracking his path until he disappeared into the parking lot. Only then did he allow himself to exhale. Thank you. Vanessa stepped back, creating distance between them. I'm so sorry for dragging you into that. I didn't know where else to go. He's been following me for weeks, and nothing I do seems to make him stop. Adrian looked at her properly for the first time since Marcus had left. Up close, she was striking, sharp cheekbones, intelligent eyes, the kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. But there was exhaustion in the lines around her mouth, stress in the tension of her shoulders. Have you called the police? He asked. Vanessa's laugh was bitter. Multiple times. He's careful, never threatens me directly. Never touches me, just shows up. At my office, at restaurants, at the gym. Always with some excuse, always staying just on the legal side of harassment. She ran a hand over her face. My lawyers are working on a restraining order, but these things take time, and Marcus has resources, connections. He knows how to work the system. That's terrifying, Adrian said honestly. It is. Vanessa looked at Lily, her expression softening again. I really am sorry for involving you and your daughter. That was unfair of me. It's okay, Lily piped up. My daddy helps people. That's what he does. Adrian smiled despite himself. I'm a nurse at County General. So yes, helping people is kind of in the job description. A nurse? Vanessa studied him with new interest. That explains the calm under pressure. Years of practice, Adrian said. Though usually the emergencies involve medical equipment, not stalker ex-boyfriends. A ghost of a real smile crossed Vanessa's face. I imagine that's preferable. They stood there for a moment, the afternoon sun warm on their shoulders, the sound of children playing in the background. It should have been awkward, two strangers thrown together by bizarre circumstances. But somehow it wasn't. Adrian felt an unexpected kinship with this woman who was simultaneously powerful and vulnerable, composed and desperate. Can I ask you something? Vanessa said suddenly. Sure. Why did you help me? Most people would have walked away. Adrian glanced at Lily, who was watching them both with open fascination. I guess I know what it's like to feel powerless, to need help and not know where to find it. He met Vanessa's eyes. Besides, my daughter's watching. I want her to grow up knowing that when someone asks for help, you don't turn away. Something shifted in Vanessa's expression. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. That's a good lesson. I try. Adrian checked his watch. We should probably get going. Lily has piano practice in an hour. Of course, Vanessa reached into her purse and pulled out a business card, hesitating before holding it out. This is probably forward, but if you ever need anything, I mean it. Medical bills, school expenses, anything at all. What you did today, stepping in like that, it means more than you know. Adrian took the card, glancing at the elegant lettering. Vanessa Hale, CEO, Hale Industries. A phone number and email address below. He slipped it into his pocket, not sure he'd ever use it, but touched by the gesture nonetheless. Take care of yourself, he said. And if Marcus keeps bothering you, document everything. Timestamps, locations, witnesses. Build a case he can't slip out of. Spoken like someone who's dealt with lawyers before, Vanessa observed. Custody battle, Adrian explained briefly. It taught me a lot about documentation and persistence. Vanessa nodded slowly. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you again, Adrian. And it was lovely to meet you, Lily. Bye, Vanessa, Lily waved enthusiastically. I hope that scary man stops bothering you. Me too, sweetheart. Vanessa's smile was genuine this time, warm and unguarded. Me too. She turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the pavement, shoulders straight despite everything. Adrian watched her go, then took Lily's hand. Come on, bird girl. Piano practice waits for no one. Daddy? Lily looked up at him as they started toward the parking lot. Was that lady in trouble? Yeah, baby. She was. But you helped her. That was good. I hope so, Adrian said quietly, though something in his gut told him this wasn't over. That the moment Vanessa Hale had pressed herself against his chest and whispered, please, he'd stepped into something bigger and more complicated than a simple act of kindness. He had no idea how right he was. 3 days later. The emergency room was chaos, but it was a familiar chaos. Adrian moved through it with practiced efficiency, triaging patients, updating charts, coordinating with doctors. A Friday night shift at County General meant everything from drunk college kids to heart attacks, car accidents to domestic violence cases. He'd learned long ago to compartmentalize, to focus on the task in front of him and let everything else fade into background noise. Adrian, doctor, Patel called from Bay 7. Need you on a GSW. Incoming 2 minutes. Adrian grabbed fresh gloves and headed for the trauma bay, his mind already shifting into emergency mode. Gunshot wounds required speed, precision, calm. Everything else disappeared. The patient arrived on a gurney, EMTs rattling off vitals and injury details. Adrian fell into the familiar rhythm. Assess, stabilize, assist. Blood pressure dropping, need for IV fluids, possible internal bleeding. Doctor. Patel's hands were steady, her commands clear. Adrian anticipated her needs, moving without being asked. 20 minutes later, the patient was stable and on his way to surgery. Adrian stripped off his gloves, washed his hands, and allowed himself 30 seconds to reset. This was what he was good at. This made sense in a way most of life didn't. Cole! The charge nurse's voice cut through the ER noise. You've got a visitor at the front desk. Says it's personal. Adrian frowned. He didn't get visitors at work. His parents lived 3 states away, and Lily was at her weekly sleepover at her best friend's house. He made his way to the front desk, still expecting some kind of mistake. Vanessa Hale stood in the waiting room looking completely out of place among the injured and sick. She'd traded the business suit for dark jeans and a cream sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders, but she still carried herself with that unmistakable authority. When she spotted Adrian, relief flooded her features. I'm so sorry to show up like this, she said immediately. I know this is your workplace, and I'm probably breaking about 15 protocols, but I didn't know where else to go. Adrian glanced around the waiting room, then guided her to a quieter corner. What happened? Is Marcus still bothering you? Worse. Vanessa pulled out her phone, her hand shaking slightly as she pulled up a photo. I found this on my car this morning. Adrian took the phone and felt his blood run cold. The image showed a professional photograph of Vanessa, clearly taken with a telephoto lens. She was leaving her office building, caught mid-stride, but someone had drawn over the photo with red marker, violent slashes across her face, crude threatening words scrawled in the margins. The police? Adrian asked tightly. Filed a report, added it to the mounting evidence for the restraining order. But Marcus is smart. There's no proof he did this, no cameras caught whoever left it, no fingerprints except mine. Vanessa's voice was steady, but Adrian could hear the fear beneath it. My head of security is increasing my protection detail. My lawyers are pushing harder on the restraining order. But I keep thinking about what you said in the park, about Marcus seeing us together. You want to keep up the pretense, Adrian said slowly, understanding where this was going. I know it's insane. I know I'm asking too much. But if Marcus thinks I'm in a relationship, if he believes there's someone else in my life who might notice if I disappear or get hurt. She stopped, taking a breath. I'm willing to pay you, whatever you think is fair. I just need someone visible, someone real, someone who might make him hesitate. Adrian stared at her, his mind racing. This was crazy. Getting involved with a stalker situation, pretending to date a woman he barely knew, exposing himself and potentially Lily to danger. Everything logical in him screamed to refuse. But he looked at Vanessa's eyes and saw the same thing he'd seen in the park. Desperation. Fear. The particular terror of being hunted by someone who wouldn't stop. Not money, he heard himself say. I don't want money. Vanessa blinked. Then what? Lily's piano teacher is $200 a month. Her school is talking about adding a STEM program that costs $500 per semester. And my student loans from nursing school are going to take me another decade to pay off at my current rate. Adrian met her gaze steadily. If you want to help, help with those things. But I'm not doing this for payment. I'm doing it because no one should have to be afraid like this. Something in Vanessa's expression shifted, surprise giving way to something deeper, more complicated. You're serious. I'm serious. But I need to know exactly what I'm getting into. What does this pretend relationship look like? What are the risks? And most importantly, how do we keep Lily safe? Lily's safety is non-negotiable, Vanessa said immediately. I would never put a child at risk. We can keep her completely separate from this if you want. Just you and me, public appearances, enough to establish a pattern. No. Adrian shook his head. If we're doing this, we do it right. Marcus already saw her. If I suddenly show up dating you without my daughter, it'll look fake. But she only appears in controlled situations, places with security, places we choose. Never alone. Never vulnerable. Vanessa nodded slowly. Agreed. I'll hire additional security for any event where she's present. Private, invisible, but there. And this ends the second it becomes dangerous, Adrian added. Not uncomfortable, not complicated, dangerous. The moment either of us feels like this is escalating beyond what we can handle, we stop. Deal. Vanessa held out her hand. Thank you, Adrian. You have no idea what this means to me. Adrian took her hand, her grip firm and steady despite the tremor he'd seen earlier. I hope we're both not making a huge mistake. Me too, Vanessa said quietly. Me too. Saturday morning. Adrian told Lily over pancakes, choosing his words carefully. She was 7, but she was smart, observant, and he'd learned that honesty, age-appropriate honesty, was always better than lies. Remember the lady from the park? Vanessa? Lily nodded, syrup already coating her chin. The pretty one with the scary man. Right. Well, Vanessa needs some help. The scary man is still bothering her, and she thinks if he sees her spending time with us, he might leave her alone. Lily's eyes went wide. Like we're her bodyguards? Adrian smiled despite himself. Something like that. But it means we might go to some fancy places with her. Museums, restaurants, maybe the botanical garden, places where we'd be seen together. Would you be okay with that? Will there be bad guys? Lily asked with the fearless curiosity of a child who'd grown up on superhero movies. No bad guys, Adrian promised. Just us helping someone who needs help. But you have to promise me that if anything ever feels wrong, if anyone ever makes you uncomfortable, you tell me immediately. No matter what. Deal? Lily considered this seriously, then stuck out her pinky. Deal. Adrian linked his pinky with hers, then pulled her into a tight hug. I love you, bird girl. Love you too, Daddy. It sounded. The first date was Sunday brunch at an upscale restaurant downtown. Vanessa had chosen it deliberately, visible, public, the kind of place where she was known and Marcus might hear about her being there. She'd arranged for them to arrive separately, meeting at the entrance with a carefully staged greeting. When Adrian and Lily arrived, Vanessa was already waiting, looking effortlessly elegant in a navy dress and heels. But when she spotted Lily, her smile was genuine and warm. Hi, Lily. You look beautiful. Lily beamed, smoothing down her favorite yellow dress. Thank you. Daddy said we're having fancy breakfast. Very fancy, Vanessa confirmed. I hope you like chocolate croissants. I love chocolate everything. Inside, the restaurant was exactly as Adrian had expected. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, prices on the menu that made his eyes water. But Vanessa navigated it with easy confidence, chatting with the maitre d', requesting a table by the window where they'd be maximally visible. As they settled in, Adrian became aware of eyes on them. Vanessa Hale wasn't just wealthy, she was recognizable. Business magazines, society pages, charity events. People noticed her. Does this feel as strange to you as it does to me? Adrian asked quietly once the waiter had taken their order. Surreal, Vanessa admitted. I haven't been on a date, even a fake one, in 2 years. Not since Marcus. That must be lonely, Adrian said. Vanessa looked at him with surprise, as if she'd expected judgment instead of empathy. It is, but it's also safer. I learned the hard way that mixing business and personal life tends to end badly. How did you and Marcus meet? He was on the board of directors when I took over as CEO 3 years ago. My father had just died and the transition was rocky. Marcus was charming, supportive, seemed to understand the pressure I was under. Vanessa's expression darkened. I didn't realize he was only interested in gaining power through me. When I discovered he was embezzling funds and brought it to the board, he turned vicious, claimed I'd betrayed him, that we were supposed to be partners. But you were never partners, Adrian said. Not really. No, we dated for 6 months. I ended it when I found out about the embezzlement. But in Marcus's mind, we were building an empire together. He can't accept that it was never real. Lily was coloring on the paper menu the restaurant had provided for children, humming to herself. Vanessa watched her with an expression Adrian couldn't quite read. Can I ask you something personal? Vanessa said. Sure. Lily's mother. What happened? Adrian took a sip of water, choosing his words. Sarah and I got married young, too young. We thought we were in love, but really, we were just two people who didn't want to be alone. When Lily was born, the cracks started showing. Sarah wanted a different life, more freedom, more excitement. Being a mother felt like a trap to her. I'm sorry, Vanessa said quietly. I'm not. The divorce was brutal, but it gave me full custody of Lily. Sarah sees her twice a year, sends birthday cards. But she's essentially checked out. Adrian looked at his daughter, who was showing Vanessa a picture she'd drawn. It hurt at first, knowing Lily would grow up without a mother. But we're okay. Better than okay. She's lucky to have you, Vanessa said. I'm lucky to have her. Their food arrived, elaborate dishes that were as beautiful as they were delicious. Lily's eyes went wide at her hot chocolate, which came topped with homemade whipped cream and chocolate shavings. This is the best day ever, she announced solemnly. Vanessa laughed, and the sound was so genuine, so unguarded, that Adrian found himself smiling too. For a moment, sitting in this expensive restaurant pretending to be on a date with a woman he barely knew, everything felt almost normal. Then Adrian spotted him. Marcus stood on the sidewalk outside the restaurant, staring through the window. He wasn't being subtle about it. He wanted them to see him, wanted Vanessa to know he was watching. Don't look now, Adrian said quietly, but we have an audience. Vanessa's posture stiffened, but she didn't turn around. Where? Outside, across the street, just standing there. He's testing me, Vanessa said, her voice tight. Seeing if I'll react, if I'll run. Adrian reached across the table and took her hand, the gesture both protective and deliberate. Her fingers were cold despite the warm restaurant, and he could feel her pulse racing. Then we don't give him the satisfaction, Adrian said calmly. We finish our meal, we enjoy our time together, and we walk out of here like he doesn't exist. Vanessa met his eyes, and Adrian saw the war happening behind them, fear versus pride, caution versus defiance. Finally, she nodded. Okay, she said. We finish our meal. For the next 30 minutes, they did exactly that. Adrian kept the conversation light, pulling Lily into discussions about her favorite subjects at school, her piano lessons, the upcoming science fair. Vanessa engaged fully, asking questions, sharing stories from her own childhood that made Lily laugh. To any observer, they looked like a family enjoying Sunday brunch together. But Adrian never forgot about Marcus standing outside. Never forgot that this wasn't real, that they were performing for an audience of one. When they finally stood to leave, Adrian kept Vanessa's hand in his, and she didn't pull away. They walked out together, Lily between them, chattering about the chocolate croissant she'd loved. Marcus was gone from his spot across the street, but Adrian felt eyes on them still, tracking their movement. At the parking garage entrance, Vanessa stopped. There's a charity gala next Friday night. Black tie, about 300 guests, heavy security. Marcus won't be invited, but word will absolutely get back to him that I was there with someone. Would you be willing? Adrian thought about his closet, which contained exactly 0 tuxedos. I don't exactly run in charity gala circles. I'll take care of everything, Vanessa said quickly. Tux rental, tickets, transportation. You just need to show up. Lily would need a sitter. I'll arrange that too. Bonded, background checked, your choice of candidates. Adrian looked at this woman who was simultaneously so powerful and so vulnerable, and made a decision that he suspected would change everything. Okay, he said. One gala. We'll see how it goes. Vanessa's smile was brilliant with relief. Thank you, Adrian. Truly. As they parted ways and Adrian buckled Lily into his modest sedan, his daughter looked at him with those 2 wise eyes. Do you like Vanessa, Daddy? Adrian paused, considering the question. She's nice, and she needs help. But do you like her? It's complicated, bird girl. Lily wrinkled her nose. That's what grown-ups always say when the answer is yes. Adrian couldn't help but laugh. When did you get so smart? I was born this way, Lily said matter-of-factly, and Adrian's heart swelled with love for this tiny human who saw the world so clearly. As he drove home, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for today. You made me remember what it feels like to not be alone. Adrian stared at the message for a long moment before responding. You're not alone. Not anymore. He sent it before he could second-guess himself, then tucked the phone away. Whatever he'd stepped into that day in the park, there was no going back now. Vanessa Hale had crashed into his carefully constructed life, bringing danger and complication and a connection he hadn't expected. And Adrian Cole, cautious to his core, found himself willing to see exactly where that connection led, even if it meant walking straight into the storm. The week leading up to the gala moved faster than Adrian anticipated. Between 12-hour shifts at the hospital and coordinating schedules with Vanessa, his carefully ordered life began to blur at the edges. They met twice more that week, once at a coffee shop near his apartment where Vanessa showed up in jeans and a Columbia sweatshirt looking almost normal, and again at the art museum where Lily dragged them both through the dinosaur exhibit with infectious enthusiasm. Each meeting felt less like performance and more like something real. Vanessa laughed at Lily's jokes, asked Adrian questions about his work that showed genuine interest, and slowly began to relax in a way that suggested she wasn't acting anymore either. But Marcus's presence haunted them like a shadow. A car that followed Vanessa's SUV for 6 blocks before turning away. A delivery of dead roses left at her office with no return address. Phone calls from blocked numbers that went to voicemail, just breathing and silence. The police added each incident to their file. Vanessa's lawyers pushed harder on the restraining order, but the legal system moved with glacial slowness, and Marcus seemed to know exactly how far he could push without crossing the line into actionable threat. On Thursday evening, Adrian stood in his modest bedroom staring at the garment bag hanging on his closet door. The tuxedo inside had been delivered that afternoon by a private courier, along with shoes, cufflinks, and a note in Vanessa's precise handwriting. "You're going to look incredible. Pick you up at 7. V." "Daddy, you look nervous," Lily observed from where she sat cross-legged on his bed, watching him with those knowing eyes. "I'm not nervous," Adrian lied. I just don't usually go to fancy parties." "Is it because of Vanessa?" Adrian turned to look at his daughter, this small person who seemed to understand far more than any 7-year-old should. "What do you mean?" "You like her. For real, not just for pretend." Lily stated it as simple fact, no question in her voice. Adrian sat down beside her, choosing honesty over deflection. "I think I might, but it's complicated, bird girl. Vanessa's dealing with a lot right now, and we barely know each other." "But you want to know her," Lily said. "I can tell. You smile different when she texts you." "I smile different?" "Yeah, like how you smile when I bring home good grades. Happy, but also proud." Lily tilted her head. "Do you think she likes you too?" Adrian thought about the way Vanessa's hand had lingered in his at the restaurant, how her eyes softened when she watched him with Lily, the late-night texts they'd started exchanging that had nothing to do with Marcus and everything to do with learning each other's stories. "Maybe," he admitted, "but right now we're just helping each other. That's what matters." "Okay," Lily said, then hugged him tight. "But I think she'd be lucky. You're the best daddy in the whole world. You'd be a really good boyfriend, too." Adrian's heart squeezed. "I love you. You know that." "I know. I love you, too." The babysitter arrived at 6:30, a cheerful woman in her 50s named Margaret, who came with impeccable references and a background check so thorough Adrian had been mildly impressed. Vanessa didn't do anything halfway. "We'll be back by midnight," Adrian told Margaret, running through the emergency numbers one more time. "Bedtime is 8:30, no exceptions. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me immediately." "We'll be just fine," Margaret assured him with the patient confidence of someone who'd raised 4 children of her own. "You go have a wonderful evening." Lily hugged him goodbye, whispering in his ear, "You look like a prince, Daddy." Adrian laughed despite his nerves. "Thanks, bird girl. Be good." Vanessa arrived exactly at 7 in a sleek black town car, and when Adrian slid into the back seat beside her, his breath caught. She wore a floor-length emerald gown that hugged her curves before flowing into an elegant train, her hair swept up in an intricate style that exposed the graceful line of her neck. Diamond earrings caught the light, and her makeup was flawless, but it was her eyes that held him, nervous, hopeful, and achingly vulnerable. "You look beautiful," Adrian said quietly. Color rose in Vanessa's cheeks. "You clean up pretty well yourself. I wasn't sure about the tux, but I'm glad we went with the classic cut." "I feel like I'm playing dress-up," Adrian admitted. "You and me both." Vanessa's smile was wry. "I've been going to these things for years, and I still feel like an imposter half the time. Like someone's going to realize I'm just a girl from Queens who got lucky with a trust fund and a business degree." Adrian looked at her with surprise. "Queens? I assumed you grew up in Manhattan penthouses." "My father did." I grew up with my mother in a 2-bedroom apartment above a bodega until I was 12. Dad and Mom were never married. She was his secretary, got pregnant, and he paid child support but wasn't interested in being a father. Vanessa's voice was matter of fact, but Adrian heard old pain beneath it. When Mom died, I didn't have anywhere else to go. Dad took me in because he had to, not because he wanted to. That must have been hard, Adrian said. It taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Vanessa met his eyes. Which is why what you're doing means so much. You didn't have to show up, Adrian, but you did. The car pulled up to the venue, a historic hotel downtown with marble columns and crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than Adrian's annual salary. Photographers lined the red carpet, cameras flashing as guests arrived. Adrian felt his stomach tighten. Deep breath, Vanessa murmured. Just stay close to me. Smile if anyone takes our picture, but you don't have to talk to the press. I'll handle that. What do I do with my hands? Adrian asked, only half joking. Vanessa laughed and linked her arm through his. Keep one here. Try to look like you're enjoying yourself rather than facing execution. I'll do my best. They stepped out of the car together, and immediately the cameras intensified. Adrian heard Vanessa's name being called, saw the flash of recognition on photographers' faces as they spotted her. She moved through it with practiced grace, offering brief smiles but not stopping for interviews. Adrian kept pace beside her, acutely aware of every eye on them. Vanessa, who's your date? Someone shouted. Is this serious? Another voice called. Just smile, Vanessa whispered, and Adrian did, though his face felt stiff with tension. Inside, the ballroom was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city lights. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across white tablecloths, and a string quartet played classical music that seemed to float through the air like something tangible. Everywhere Adrian looked, he saw wealth. Designer gowns, expensive jewelry, the kind of casual luxury that came from never having to check a price tag. Vanessa! A silver-haired woman in a scarlet dress approached, her smile bright and calculating. Darling, it's been too long. And who is this handsome creature you've brought? Catherine, this is Adrian Cole. Adrian, Catherine Bradshaw. She sits on half the boards in this city and knows everyone worth knowing. Catherine's eyes swept over Adrian with undisguised curiosity. A pleasure, Adrian. And what is it you do? I'm a nurse at County General, Adrian said, meeting her gaze steadily. Catherine's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. A nurse? How refreshing. Vanessa usually dates venture capitalists and hedge fund managers. It's nice to see her branching out. Catherine means well, Vanessa said dryly. She just has the subtlety of a freight train. Catherine laughed. Guilty as charged. But seriously, darling, it's wonderful to see you with someone who actually has a real job. The last man you brought to one of these events spent the entire evening talking about cryptocurrency and his yacht. That was Marcus, Vanessa said, and something flickered across Catherine's face. Ah, yes, Marcus. Catherine's voice cooled several degrees. I heard about the unpleasantness, dreadful business, embezzlement, and I understand he's been rather persistent since his departure from your board? You could say that, Vanessa said carefully. Well, if Adrian here is your answer to that problem, I heartily approve. Catherine patted Adrian's arm. You look like someone who knows how to handle himself. Vanessa needs that. Someone solid. Before Adrian could respond, a waiter appeared with champagne. Vanessa took 2 glasses, handing one to Adrian. To survival, she murmured, low enough that only he could hear. To survival, Adrian echoed, and they drank. The evening unfolded in a blur of introductions and small talk. Vanessa navigated it expertly, pulling Adrian through conversations with ease, introducing him simply as Adrian, my partner, without elaboration. People seemed fascinated by him, or rather, by his ordinariness in this extraordinary setting. A nurse, a single father, someone who worked for a living rather than managing portfolios and trust funds. You're doing great, Vanessa whispered during a lull. Everyone loves you. They're just surprised you're dating someone normal, Adrian said. There's nothing normal about you, Adrian Cole, trust me. The way Vanessa looked at him made his pulse quicken. Dinner was served at elegantly decorated tables, some kind of chicken dish that was probably delicious, but Adrian barely tasted. He was too aware of Vanessa beside him, her hand occasionally brushing his arm, the way she leaned close to explain who people were and what they did. Across the table, a tech CEO and his wife asked Adrian about his work, and he found himself telling stories from the ER that made them laugh and wince in equal measure. "You're a natural storyteller," the wife said warmly. "You should write a book." "Maybe when I retire," Adrian said. "Right now I'm just trying to keep people alive and my daughter in piano lessons." "You have a daughter?" The tech CEO's interest sharpened. "How old?" 7, Lily. "She's the best thing that ever happened to me." Vanessa's hand found his under the table, squeezing gently. When Adrian glanced at her, her eyes were suspiciously bright. After dinner came dancing. The string quartet had been replaced by a jazz band, and couples drifted toward the dance floor. Vanessa stood and held out her hand. "I should warn you," Adrian said as he took it, "I'm not much of a dancer. Just follow my lead. It's easier than you think." On the dance floor, Vanessa's hand settled on his shoulder while his found the small of her back. They moved together slowly, finding a rhythm that worked. This close, Adrian could smell her perfume, feel the warmth of her skin through the thin fabric of her gown. Around them, other couples swayed and turned, but Adrian's entire focus narrowed to the woman in his arms. "Thank you for doing this," Vanessa said quietly. "I know it's not your scene." "It's not so bad," Adrian admitted. "The company helps." Vanessa smiled, and in that moment she looked younger, less burdened. "Can I tell you something?" "Anything." "This is the first time in 2 years I've felt safe at one of these events. Marcus used to corner me at galas, use the crowds as cover to get close. He'd whisper things, make threats disguised as concern. I started dreading them." Her eyes met Adrian's. "But tonight, with you here, I'm not scared. I'm actually enjoying myself." Adrian's hand tightened on her waist. "Good. That's how it should be." They danced through 2 more songs, neither speaking, just moving together. Adrian felt something shifting between them, the careful boundary they'd maintained beginning to blur. This wasn't pretend anymore. The way Vanessa fit against him, the comfortable silence, the easy rhythm, it felt real in a way that terrified and exhilarated him in equal measure. When the song ended, Vanessa stepped back reluctantly. "I should make the rounds. There are a few donors I need to talk to for the foundation. Will you be okay on your own for a bit?" "I'll manage," Adrian assured her. "Go do your thing." He watched her glide away into the crowd, immediately surrounded by people vying for her attention. Adrian made his way to the bar, ordering water instead of alcohol. He needed to stay sharp, aware. Something about tonight felt precarious, like they were balanced on a knife's edge. Quite the upgrade from Marcus, isn't she? Adrian turned to find a man in his 40s leaning against the bar beside him, studying Adrian with undisguised hostility. He was handsome in a polished way, with graying temples and an expensive suit, but his eyes were cold. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" Adrian asked carefully. "Jonathan Pierce. I'm a friend of Marcus's. Well, was a friend before Vanessa destroyed his reputation and career." Jonathan's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You should be careful, Adrian. Vanessa Hale has a pattern of using people and discarding them when they're no longer useful." "That's not how I see it," Adrian said evenly. "Give it time. Marcus was crazy about her, devoted, and she threw him away the moment he became inconvenient. Now she's parading you around like some kind of trophy, the noble nurse, so different from her usual type. It's all performance." "If you're trying to warn me off, you're wasting your breath," Adrian said. "I make my own judgments about people." Jonathan's expression hardened. "Marcus still cares about her, you know. He's hurt, angry, but he genuinely believes they belong together. And you're standing in the way of that. Marcus is stalking her, threatening her. That's not love, it's obsession." "You don't know the whole story," Jonathan said. "Vanessa led him on, made promises, then betrayed him when he was vulnerable. She's the villain here, not Marcus." Adrian set down his water glass with deliberate care. "I think we're done talking." "Just remember I warned you," Jonathan said as Adrian turned to walk away. "When she destroys you too, don't say no one tried to tell you the truth." Adrian found Vanessa across the room, deep in conversation with an elderly couple. When she spotted him approaching, her face lit up with relief. "Excuse me," she told the couple graciously. "My date appears to need rescuing." She crossed to Adrian, concern in her eyes. "What's wrong? You look upset." "Jonathan Pierce just cornered me at the bar. Apparently he's a friend of Marcus's and wanted to make sure I knew you're the villain in this story. Vanessa's face went pale. Jonathan's here? I didn't see his name on the guest list. He found me deliberately, Adrian said. Wanted to warn me about your pattern of destroying men. Adrian, Vanessa stopped, taking a breath. Jonathan and Marcus are business partners. They lost a lot of money when Marcus was removed from the board. He blames me for that. Are they working together, Marcus and Jonathan? I don't know, maybe. Vanessa scanned the room nervously. I need to tell my security team. If Jonathan's here, Marcus might be too. As if summoned by her words, Adrian's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out to see a text from Margaret. Everything okay there, but thought you should know. A man knocked on the door about 20 minutes ago. Said he was a friend of yours checking in. I didn't open the door and he left. Probably nothing, but wanted to mention it. Ice flooded Adrian's veins. We need to go. Now. What happened? Adrian showed her the text. Someone came to my apartment. Margaret didn't open the door, but Marcus knows where you live. Vanessa's voice was tight with fear. He knows about Lily. They moved quickly, Vanessa grabbing her wrap while texting her security team. Adrian called Margaret, his hands shaking slightly. Margaret, it's Adrian. Did the man say anything else? Can you describe him? Mid-30s, dark hair, expensive suit. Very polite, but something about him felt off. I told him you weren't home and he left. He didn't push it. Keep the doors locked. Don't open them for anyone except me. We're on our way. In the car, speeding through city streets, Vanessa was on her phone coordinating with her head of security. I want someone at Adrian's building immediately. Eyes on all entrances. If Marcus or Jonathan show up, I want to know. This is escalating, Adrian said, fighting to keep his voice calm. He's not just following you anymore. He's targeting my daughter. I'm so sorry. Vanessa's voice broke. I should have seen this coming. Should have realized he'd use you to get to me. This isn't your fault, Adrian said firmly. Marcus is responsible for his own actions. But I brought this into your life. Into Lily's life. Adrian took her hand, gripping it tight. You asked for help. I chose to give it. Whatever happens now, we handle it together. When they reached Adrian's apartment building, 2 security guards in dark suits were already positioned at the entrance. Vanessa's head of security, a no-nonsense woman named Patricia, met them in the lobby. Perimeter's secure, Patricia reported. We pulled the building's security footage. A man matching Marcus Brennan's description approached at 8:47 p.m., knocked on your door, spoke briefly with someone inside, presumably the babysitter, then left. He drove away in a silver BMW registered to Jonathan Pierce. So they are working together, Vanessa said. Appears so. We've notified the police and added this to the restraining order file. It's a clear violation. Approaching your residence constitutes stalking under state law. Will they arrest him? Adrian asked. Patricia's expression was grim. They'll try. But Marcus has good lawyers. He'll claim he was just checking on a friend, didn't know where you lived was off limits. First offense, he'll probably get a warning. A warning, Adrian repeated bitterly. He showed up at my home where my 7-year-old daughter was sleeping, and he gets a warning. I know it's not enough, Patricia said, but it gives us ammunition. Every incident, every boundary crossed builds the case. Eventually, we'll have enough to make charges stick. Eventually might be too late, Adrian said. Upstairs, Lily was sound asleep in her bed, blissfully unaware of the danger that had knocked on their door. Margaret met them looking shaken but composed. I didn't let him in, she said immediately. I followed your instructions exactly. You did perfectly, Adrian assured her. Thank you for being vigilant. After Margaret left and Patricia's team had done a security sweep of the apartment, Adrian stood in Lily's doorway watching her sleep. Vanessa appeared beside him, still wearing her elegant gown, looking completely out of place in his modest apartment. She's beautiful, Vanessa whispered. You've done an amazing job with her. She's my whole world, Adrian said quietly. I can't let anything happen to her. I know, and I promise you, I will do everything in my power to keep her safe. Patricia's team will be outside this building 24/7. I'm hiring additional private security, and I'm pushing my lawyers to expedite the restraining order. Adrian turned to face her. What if it's not enough? What if Marcus doesn't stop? Then we find another way. Vanessa said fiercely. But I won't let him hurt your daughter. I won't let him hurt you. Standing there in his daughter's room, still dressed for a gala that felt like it happened in another lifetime, Adrian realized something profound. Somewhere between the park and the restaurant and the museum and tonight, Vanessa had stopped being a stranger he was helping. She'd become someone he cared about, someone worth fighting for. Stay, he said impulsively. It's late. You shouldn't be alone. The couch pulls out. Vanessa looked at him with surprise and something deeper, more complicated. Adrian, I don't want to impose. You're not imposing. I'm asking. He met her eyes steadily. Stay. Please. She nodded slowly. Okay. I'll stay. Adrian found her a t-shirt and sweatpants, both comically large on her frame. She disappeared into the bathroom to change, and when she emerged with her hair down and her makeup washed off, she looked younger, more vulnerable, more real. I feel like I should apologize, Vanessa said, settling onto the couch Adrian had converted into a bed. This isn't how tonight was supposed to go. How was it supposed to go? Adrian asked, sitting in the armchair across from her. You were supposed to attend a gala, help me maintain the illusion that I'm not alone, then go home to your normal life. Instead, Marcus invaded your space, and I'm crashing on your couch in borrowed clothes. Vanessa's laugh was bitter. Some fake girlfriend I turned out to be. You're not fake, Adrian said quietly. Nothing about tonight felt fake. Vanessa looked at him, and in the dim light of his living room, Adrian saw hope and fear warring in her expression. It didn't feel fake to me either, which is probably a problem. Why is that a problem? Because I hired you to pretend, Adrian. I have no right to develop actual feelings for you. That wasn't the deal. Adrian's heart was pounding, but he kept his voice steady. What if the deal changed? What if it did? Vanessa whispered. The air between them felt charged, electric. Adrian wanted to cross the distance, to kiss her, to make real what they'd been pretending. But something held him back, the awareness of Lily sleeping down the hall, the danger still lurking outside, the fragility of this moment. We should talk about this when we're not both exhausted and scared, Adrian said finally, when we can think clearly. You're right. Vanessa pulled the blanket around herself. But for the record, I want to have that conversation. When this is over, when Marcus isn't a threat anymore, I want to explore what this is between us. So do I, Adrian admitted. More than you know. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken feelings settling around them like fog. Adrian? Vanessa's voice was soft. Thank you for letting me stay. I don't think I could have gone home alone tonight. You don't have to thank me. You're not alone anymore, Vanessa. I meant that. She smiled and it transformed her face. Neither are you. Adrian retired to his bedroom, but sleep was elusive. He lay in the dark listening to the sounds of his apartment, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic, Lily's soft breathing from the next room. And now, the quiet presence of Vanessa in his living room, this powerful woman who'd somehow become woven into the fabric of his life in just 2 weeks. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Vanessa. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about what could have happened if Margaret had opened that door. Adrian replied immediately. She didn't. Lily's safe. You're safe. Try to rest. I'm scared, Adrian. Not for me. For you and Lily. This is my mess and you're caught in it. We're in it together now. That's what matters. A long pause. Then, when did you become the person I trust most in the world? Adrian stared at those words, feeling their weight. He typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on the truth. Same moment you became that person for me. He heard movement from the living room, soft footsteps in the hall. Then his bedroom door opened quietly, and Vanessa stood silhouetted in the doorway, wrapped in the blanket from the couch. I can't stop thinking, she whispered. Can I stay in here? Just to sleep? I just don't want to be alone. Adrian pulled back the covers in answer. Vanessa crossed to the bed and slid in beside him, keeping a respectful distance. But in the darkness, her hand found his, and their fingers intertwined. This okay? She asked. Yeah, Adrian said. This is okay. They lay there in the quiet dark, not touching beyond their linked hands, but somehow more intimate than anything Adrian had experienced in years. Vanessa's breathing gradually slowed. evening out into the rhythm of sleep. Adrian listened to it, feeling the steady beat of her pulse against his palm, and realized with stunning clarity that somewhere in the chaos and danger and pretense, he'd fallen for this woman. Not the CEO, not the powerful businesswoman, not the charity gala version in designer gowns. The real Vanessa, scared and strong, vulnerable and fierce, carrying burdens that would have crushed someone with less steel in their spine. As sleep finally claimed him, Adrian's last conscious thought was a promise. Whatever it took, however long it lasted, he would keep her safe. Keep Lily safe. And maybe, just maybe, when the storm passed, they'd build something real from the ashes of this strange beginning. Outside, security guards watched the building through the night. Somewhere in the city, Marcus was planning his next move. But in that moment, in the darkness of Adrian's modest bedroom, two people who'd started as strangers found something they'd both been missing for far too long. They found each other. Morning light filtered through the bedroom curtains, soft and golden, pulling Adrian from the deepest sleep he'd had in months. For a disoriented moment, he couldn't remember why his bed felt different, why there was warmth pressed against his side. Then awareness returned in a rush. Vanessa, curled into him sometime during the night, her head resting on his shoulder, one arm draped across his chest. He should move, should wake her, should reestablish the boundaries that had dissolved in the darkness. But Adrian found himself frozen, savoring this stolen moment of peace before reality crashed back in. Vanessa looked younger in sleep, the lines of stress smoothed from her face, her breathing deep and even. Her hair had come loose from whatever remained of last night's elegant style, falling in dark waves across his pillow. "Daddy?" Lily's voice drifted from the hallway, accompanied by the soft pad of small feet. "Are you awake?" Vanessa stirred immediately, eyes flying open, confusion giving way to mortification as she realized where she was. She started to pull away, but Adrian's hand on her arm stopped her. "It's okay," he said quietly. "She'll understand." The bedroom door cracked open and Lily's face appeared, her eyes widening as she took in the scene. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Lily's face split into a huge grin. "I knew it," she announced triumphantly. "I told you you liked each other." Despite everything, Adrian couldn't help but laugh. "Good morning to you too, bird girl." Lily bounced onto the bed with the fearless enthusiasm of childhood, settling cross-legged at the foot. "Hi, Vanessa. Did you have a sleepover? Daddy never has sleepovers." Vanessa looked helplessly at Adrian, a flush creeping up her neck. "Vanessa stayed over because it was late and we wanted to make sure everyone was safe," Adrian explained. Which was true, even if it wasn't the whole truth. "Remember the man from the park? We're still being careful." Lily's expression turned serious. "The scary man who won't leave Vanessa alone?" "Yeah, baby, that one." "Is he gone now?" Lily asked, and the worry in her voice made Adrian's chest tighten. "Not yet," Vanessa said gently. "But we're working on it. And in the meantime, your dad and I are making sure everyone stays safe, including you." Lily considered this, then nodded with the gravity of someone far older than 7. "Okay, I can be brave. Daddy says being brave means doing the right thing even when you're scared." "Your dad is a smart man," Vanessa said, and the way she looked at Adrian made his heart skip. "Can Vanessa stay for breakfast?" Lily asked hopefully. "Please? I can make my special pancakes." Adrian glanced at Vanessa, giving her an out if she needed it, but she smiled, genuine and warm. "I would love to try your special pancakes, Lily, if your dad doesn't mind." "Daddy never minds pancakes," Lily declared, already scrambling off the bed. "Come on, I'll show you my special technique." She raced from the room, leaving Adrian and Vanessa alone in the rumpled bed. The intimacy of the moment hit Adrian anew. Vanessa still in his borrowed clothes, her hair messy, makeup-free, looking more beautiful than she had in her designer gown. "I'm sorry," Vanessa said quietly. "I didn't mean to fall asleep here, I just—" "Don't apologize," Adrian interrupted. "I'm glad you stayed. Glad you felt safe enough to sleep." "I haven't slept that well in months," Vanessa admitted. "Maybe years." "Neither have I." They looked at each other, and Adrian saw his own feelings reflected in her eyes. Want and hesitation, hope and fear, the fragile beginning of something real struggling against the chaos surrounding them. "Daddy! Vanessa! The pancakes won't make themselves, Lily's voice carried from the kitchen, impatient and insistent. Vanessa laughed, the sound bright and genuine. We should probably, yeah, before she comes back to drag us out. In the kitchen, Lily had already pulled out the mixing bowl, flour, and eggs, arranging them with precise care on the counter. Adrian started the coffee while Vanessa pulled up a stool, watching as Lily explained her pancake technique with the seriousness of a master chef. The secret is you have to add the chocolate chips after you pour the batter in the pan, Lily explained. That way they don't burn, and you flip it exactly when the bubbles stop popping. See? I see, Vanessa said gravely. That's very scientific. Daddy says cooking is just science you can eat. Your daddy is full of wisdom this morning, Vanessa said, her eyes finding Adrian's across the kitchen. They fell into an easy rhythm, Adrian cooking, Lily chattering, Vanessa asking questions and laughing at Lily's stories. To any observer, they would have looked like a family, comfortable and familiar. The thought sent warmth flooding through Adrian's chest, even as anxiety tightened around his ribs. This wasn't real. Not yet. Maybe not ever, depending on what happened with Marcus. His phone buzzed on the counter. Patricia's name flashed on the screen. I need to take this, Adrian said, stepping into the living room. Patricia, tell me something good. Wish I could. Patricia's voice was grim. Marcus was picked up for questioning this morning based on last night's incident, but his lawyer had him out in 2 hours. They're claiming he went to the wrong address, that Jonathan Pierce gave him bad directions, that the whole thing was an innocent mistake. That's bullshit, and you know it, Adrian said, keeping his voice low so Lily wouldn't hear. I know it. The police know it. But without hard evidence of intent, it's his word against ours. The restraining order petition got fast-tracked, though. There's a hearing scheduled for Wednesday. If we can demonstrate a pattern of escalating behavior, we might get it approved. And in the meantime? In the meantime, my team stays on you. No one gets close without us knowing. And Ms. Hale's lawyers are exploring other options. Civil harassment suit, corporate restraining order since Marcus keeps showing up at her office building. Adrian rubbed his face, exhaustion pulling at him despite the good night's sleep. What does your gut tell you, Patricia? Is this going to get worse before it gets better? A pause. Yeah. Men like Marcus don't back down easy, especially when they feel like they're losing. But Ms. Hale has resources most stalking victims don't. We'll keep her safe. And you and your daughter. I hope you're right. After he hung up, Adrian stood for a moment collecting himself. From the kitchen came the sound of Lily's laughter, Vanessa's voice responding with warmth and patience. He could get used to this, he realized. Could imagine mornings like this stretching into a future where Vanessa's presence wasn't temporary, where the three of them were actually a family instead of just playing one. But that future felt impossibly distant with Marcus's shadow hanging over them. When Adrian returned to the kitchen, Vanessa took one look at his face and understood. Bad news? Marcus was released. Hearing for the restraining order is Wednesday. Lily, who'd been flipping pancakes with intense concentration, looked up. Does that mean the scary man might come back? No, Adrian said firmly, crouching down to her level. It means we keep being smart and careful. The security guards outside are going to stay for a while. And we don't open the door for anyone we don't know, okay? Okay, Daddy. Lily threw her arms around his neck. I'm not scared as long as you're here. Adrian hugged her tight, breathing in the familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo, the solid realness of his daughter in his arms. Everything he did, every risk he took, was about protecting her. He couldn't lose sight of that. They ate breakfast together, Lily pronouncing her pancakes the best she'd ever made. Vanessa ate 3, praising each one genuinely, and Adrian watched the two of them with something dangerously close to hope blooming in his chest. After breakfast, Vanessa borrowed Adrian's phone to call her driver. While she waited, she helped Lily with a puzzle. The two of them bent over the coffee table, Lily chattering about school and piano and her upcoming science fair project. What are you studying? Vanessa asked. How plants grow in different lights, Lily explained. I have 3 plants, one in the sun, one in shade, and one with no light at all. The sun one is doing the best, but the shade one is taller. Isn't that weird? It's reaching for the light, Vanessa said. Plants are smart that way. They know what they need to survive and they stretch toward it, even if it's hard. Like people? Lily asked. Vanessa glanced at Adrian, something profound in her expression. Yeah, sweetheart, like people. When Vanessa's car arrived, Adrian walked her down, leaving Lily upstairs with strict instructions not to answer the door. Patricia's team was stationed in the lobby, subtle but present. Outside, the town car waited at the curb, its tinted windows reflecting the morning sun. Thank you for last night, Vanessa said quietly. For everything, the gala, letting me stay, breakfast with Lily. It felt normal, Adrian supplied. Real, Vanessa corrected. It felt real, Adrian, and that terrifies me because I don't know if we can have real while Marcus is still out there, while I'm putting you and Lily in danger just by being near you. You're not putting us in danger. Marcus is doing that all by himself. But if I stepped back, Vanessa started. No. Adrian's voice was firm. We're not doing that. We're not letting him win by making us afraid to be together. Are we together? Vanessa asked, and the vulnerability in her voice made Adrian's chest ache. He stepped closer, cupping her face in his hands. I don't know what we are yet, but I know I want to find out. When this is over, when Marcus is gone and we can breathe again, I want to explore this. Really explore it. No pretending, no performance. Just you and me figuring out if what we feel is as real as it seems. Vanessa's eyes glistened. I want that too. So much it scares me. Then we'll be scared together, Adrian said, and kissed her forehead, soft and gentle. Not the kiss he wanted to give her, but the one that felt right for this moment, this fragile beginning. Be careful, Vanessa whispered. Both of you. I couldn't stand it if something happened because of me. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to get through this. Vanessa nodded, though doubt flickered in her eyes. She climbed into the car and Adrian watched it pull away, feeling the loss of her presence like a physical thing. Upstairs, Lily was waiting with that knowing look children sometimes got when they saw things adults tried to hide. You really like her, don't you, Daddy? Yeah, bird girl, I really do. Good. She needs someone like you. Someone who's nice and strong and doesn't give up. Adrian pulled Lily into his lap on the couch. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just don't always notice because I'm short. Adrian laughed despite the anxiety knotting his stomach. Fair point. The weekend passed in a careful routine. Adrian picked up an extra shift at the hospital Sunday night, leaving Lily with his neighbor Mrs. Chen, who'd watched her dozens of times before. Patricia's security team checked in every few hours. Vanessa texted constantly, photos of her office, updates on the restraining order petition, random thoughts and observations that made Adrian smile. Monday brought new developments. Vanessa's lawyers filed the civil harassment suit, serving Marcus with papers that detailed every incident, every boundary crossed. Marcus responded by going to the press. Adrian was at work when his phone exploded with notifications. He ducked into an empty supply closet to check, and his stomach dropped. Marcus had given an interview to a tabloid-style news site, painting himself as the victim. The headline screamed, CEO's new boy toy. Part of smear campaign, claims ousted executive. The article was a masterclass in manipulation. Marcus portrayed himself as a dedicated board member who dated Vanessa briefly and tried to remain professional after their breakup. He claimed Vanessa had fabricated the embezzlement charges to remove him from the board when he'd questioned her business practices. And Adrian was painted as a hired actor, someone Vanessa was using to bolster her false narrative and make Marcus look like a stalker when he was simply trying to clear his name. Unbelievable, Adrian muttered, scrolling through the comments below the article. Half the people believed Marcus, calling Vanessa a manipulative liar. The other half defended her, pointing out Marcus's documented harassment. It was a public relations nightmare. His phone rang. Vanessa. Have you seen it? She asked without preamble, her voice tight with barely controlled fury. Just did. Vanessa, this is a disaster. I know. My PR team is scrambling. We're preparing a statement, but anything we say is going to look defensive. Marcus timed this perfectly, right before the restraining order hearing. He's trying to make me look vindictive and unstable. What can I do? Nothing. Stay away from the press. Don't respond to any requests for comment. My lawyers are handling it. Vanessa's voice cracked slightly. Adrian, I'm so sorry. Your name is in that article. People are going to recognize you, ask questions. I never meant for you to be dragged into the public eye like this. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about Lily. If reporters show up at her school, they won't. I've already arranged additional security for her school, private, discreet, and I've spoken with the principal. Anyone asking about Lily or you will be turned away immediately. Adrian leaned against the supply closet wall, closing his eyes. This was spiraling so far beyond what he'd imagined when he'd agreed to help. But backing out now would only validate Marcus's claims, make Vanessa look guilty. We stick to the plan, Adrian said firmly. Restraining order hearing Wednesday. We present the evidence, get the order approved, and Marcus has to legally stay away. And if the judge believes his version, if this article poisons the well, then we find another way. But we don't give up. Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. I don't deserve you, you know that? Pretty sure it's the other way around, Adrian said. I'm just a nurse who happened to be in the right park at the right time. You're so much more than that, Vanessa said softly. You're the first person in years who's seen me as just a person, not a CEO or a target or a story. That means everything, Adrian. After they hung up, Adrian stood in the supply closet gathering himself. He'd been naive to think this would be simple, that he could help Vanessa without consequences. But even knowing everything he knew now, he wouldn't change his choice. She was worth it. Whatever came next, she was worth it. Tuesday brought more chaos. Someone leaked photos from the gala. Adrian and Vanessa dancing, her head on his shoulder, both of them looking at each other with unmistakable affection. The photos went viral, picked up by gossip sites and society pages. The narrative shifted slightly. Now people were debating whether the relationship was real or staged, analyzing body language and facial expressions like forensic evidence. Adrian's coworkers started asking questions. Doctor, Patel pulled him aside between patients, concern evident on her face. Adrian, I saw the articles. Are you okay? I'm fine. It's complicated, but I'm handling it. This woman, Vanessa Hale, are you actually dating her, or is this some kind of publicity stunt like that article claimed? Adrian met her eyes steadily. I'm helping a friend who's being stalked. Whatever else it is or isn't, that's real. Dr. Patel nodded slowly. Just be careful. Men like Marcus Brennan don't play fair. And if you need anything, time off, security at work, anything, you tell me. Thank you, I appreciate that. But the concern in her eyes followed Adrian through his shift. Everyone was worried, everyone watching. He felt exposed, vulnerable in a way he hadn't since the custody battle. Back then, every aspect of his life had been examined and judged. Now it was happening again, but this time the stakes felt even higher because it wasn't just him anymore. It was Lily. It was Vanessa. It was this fragile thing growing between them that might shatter under the weight of public scrutiny and Marcus's obsession. Wednesday morning arrived gray and cold, rain drumming against the windows. Adrian dressed carefully in his one good suit, the one he'd worn to custody hearings and job interviews. Vanessa had offered to send something tailored, but he'd refused. He needed to be himself today, not some polished version. The judge needed to see the real Adrian Cole, the nurse and father who'd been dragged into this mess by simple human decency. Lily hugged him extra tight before school. You're going to court, right? Like on TV? Sort of. It's a hearing, not a trial. We're asking a judge to make Marcus stay away from Vanessa. Will it work? I hope so, baby. Me too. I don't like that man. He makes Vanessa sad. Adrian kissed the top of her head. I'll see you tonight, Mrs. Chen is picking you up from school, okay? Patricia's people will be watching, and I'll be home by dinner. Okay, Daddy, be brave. Always. The courthouse was downtown, an imposing stone building that smelled of floor polish and old anxiety. Vanessa was already there with her legal team, 3 lawyers in expensive suits who radiated competence and barely controlled aggression. She looked like the CEO again today, armor back in place, navy suit, hair pulled back, minimal jewelry. But when she saw Adrian, her expression softened. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. You didn't have to be here. Yes, I did. We're in this together, remember? Patricia appeared at his elbow. Mr. Cole, I need to brief you on courtroom protocol. You'll likely be called as a witness. Ms. Hale's attorneys will ask you about the incidents you've observed, the park, the gala. Marcus showing up at your apartment. Just tell the truth, keep your answers concise, and don't let Marcus's lawyer rattle you. His lawyer? Jonathan Pierce. He's representing Marcus personally. It's unethical given their business relationship, but Marcus is claiming he can't afford separate counsel after being removed from the board. Of course he is, Adrian muttered. They filed into the courtroom and Adrian's stomach tightened. Marcus sat at the defendant's table looking composed and sympathetic, every inch the wrong gentleman. Jonathan Pierce sat beside him, already radiating hostile confidence. When Marcus's eyes found Vanessa, something ugly flickered across his face before being smoothed into a mask of hurt confusion. The judge entered, a stern woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no-nonsense demeanor. Everyone rose, then settled as she reviewed the case file. This is a petition for a protective order, Judge Morrison began. Ms. Hale alleges a pattern of harassment and stalking by Mr. Brennan following the termination of their romantic relationship and his removal from her company's board of directors. Mr. Brennan contests these allegations, claiming Ms. Hale is engaged in a smear campaign. We'll hear testimony from both sides. Ms. Chen, call your first witness. Vanessa's lead attorney, a sharp woman named Rachel Chen, stood. Your Honor, we call Vanessa Hale. Vanessa took the stand with the same composure she brought to boardrooms and galas. She testified calmly, detailing the timeline, the relationship, discovering the embezzlement, ending things with Marcus, his refusal to accept it. The gifts left at her office, the flowers, the constant texts and calls, showing up at restaurants, the gym, charity events. The escalation after she filed the initial police reports. And how did this behavior make you feel, Ms. Hale? Rachel asked. Terrified, Vanessa said simply. I'm a successful businesswoman. I'm used to being in control, but Marcus stripped that away. I couldn't go anywhere without looking over my shoulder. I couldn't sleep. I stopped going to places I loved because I knew he'd find me there. Did you at any point encourage Mr. Brennan's attention after ending the relationship? Never. I was clear and direct. I told him repeatedly to stop contacting me. I blocked his number. I had security escort him from my building. Nothing worked. Jonathan Pierce stood for cross-examination, his smile predatory. Ms. Hale, you claim you were terrified of my client, yet you continued attending public events, maintained your usual routine. That doesn't sound like terror to me. I refused to let him take my life away, Vanessa said evenly. Being afraid doesn't mean hiding. It means being vigilant. Convenient. Tell me, when did you hire Adrian Cole to pose as your boyfriend? Rachel shot to her feet. Objection. That mischaracterizes the relationship and isn't relevant to the harassment charges. Your Honor, it goes to Ms. Hale's credibility, Jonathan argued. If she's staging a relationship to make my client look like a stalker, I didn't hire Adrian, Vanessa interrupted, her voice cold. I asked a stranger for help in a moment of fear, and he showed basic human decency. That's not a performance, that's kindness. Kindness, Jonathan repeated mockingly. Is that why you're paying his daughter's school tuition, covering his student loans? That sounds like payment for services rendered, Ms. Hale. Adrian's hands clenched in his lap. Vanessa's face had gone pale, but her voice remained steady. I offered to help with expenses because Adrian took on risk to help me. That's gratitude, not payment. And I resent the implication that the only reason someone would care about me is for money. The hearing continued for another hour. Patricia testified about the security footage, the documented incidents, Marcus's pattern of appearing wherever Vanessa went. Police officers presented their reports. Vanessa's assistant testified about the deliveries, the calls to the office, Marcus trying to get into board meetings he was no longer authorized to attend. Then Rachel called Adrian to the stand. He walked to the witness box, feeling every eye in the courtroom on him. The bailiff swore him in, and Adrian placed his hand on the Bible, promising to tell the truth. Mr. Cole, Rachel began, can you describe your first interaction with Miss Hale? Adrian recounted the park, Vanessa asking for help, Marcus's behavior. He kept his voice calm, factual. Rachel walked him through each subsequent incident, the restaurant, the gala, Marcus showing up at his apartment. And at any point, Mr. Cole, did Ms. Hale offer you money to pretend to be in a relationship with her? No. She offered to help with expenses after I'd already agreed to help. The help came first. Always. Why did you help her, Mr. Cole? You didn't know Ms. Hale. You could have walked away. Adrian looked at Vanessa, sitting at the table with her hands folded, her spine straight despite everything. Because she was afraid and asked for help, and because I've been in situations where I felt powerless, and I know what it means when someone shows up for you. I couldn't walk away from that. Jonathan stood for cross-examination, and Adrian braced himself. Mr. Cole, you're a nurse, correct? You make what, $60,000 a year? 70. Objection, relevance, Rachel said. I'm establishing financial motive, Your Honor. Judge Morrison sighed. I'll allow it, but make your point quickly, Mr. Pierce. Answer the question, Mr. Cole. Your salary? $68,000, Adrian said. And you're a single father, raising a daughter alone? Yes. That must be difficult financially. Student loans, rent, childcare, all on a nurse's salary. Jonathan's smile was sharp. Ms. Hale's offer to cover your daughter's tuition, your loans, that must have been quite appealing. I didn't accept her help for the money, Adrian said firmly. I accepted because she needed help and I could provide it. How noble. Tell me, Mr. Cole, how many times has Ms. Hale slept at your apartment? Adrian's jaw tightened. Once, the night your client showed up at my door and terrified my daughter's babysitter. And she stayed in your bed, didn't she? We have text messages referencing that night. She stayed because she was afraid to be alone, Adrian said, his voice hard. Nothing inappropriate happened. We slept, that's all. But you do have feelings for her, don't you? Real feelings, not just this helpful stranger act? Adrian met Jonathan's eyes without flinching. Yes, I care about Vanessa, but that doesn't change the facts. Your client is stalking her, harassing her, threatening her safety, and now my daughter's. No amount of insinuation about my motives changes that truth. Jonathan smiled like he'd won something. No further questions. Adrian stepped down, his heart pounding. He'd admitted it, in open court, his feelings for Vanessa. No taking it back now, no pretending it was all an act. Marcus took the stand next, painting himself as the victim with practiced ease. He claimed Vanessa had pursued him, made promises about their future together both personally and professionally. When he'd discovered financial irregularities and tried to address them internally, she turned on him, fabricating embezzlement charges to remove him from the board before he could expose her own questionable practices. I never threatened her, Marcus said, his voice earnest. I tried to talk to her, to understand why she was destroying me. But she'd already moved on to her next target. He gestured toward Adrian. Some guy she found in a park. It's textbook Vanessa. Find someone useful. Use them up. Discard them when they're no longer needed. Adrian watched the judge's face, trying to read her reaction. Judge Morrison gave nothing away, her expression neutral as she listened to Marcus's testimony. Jonathan took him through each incident, providing alternate explanations for everything. The restaurant? He'd been there for a business lunch, didn't know Vanessa would be there. The gala? He had a ticket through Jonathan, who was on the planning committee. Adrian's apartment? Jonathan had given him the wrong address when directing him to a meeting location. It was all plausible if you didn't look too closely, all carefully constructed to cast doubt on Vanessa's claims. Finally, after 3 hours of testimony and arguments, Judge Morrison called for closing statements. Rachel stood, her voice clear and forceful. Your Honor, the evidence speaks for itself. Mr. Brennan has engaged in a pattern of harassment spanning 8 months. He's followed Ms. Hale to multiple locations, sent unwanted gifts and messages, and most recently showed up at the home of a man involved with Ms. Hale, demonstrating that his obsession has expanded to include anyone in her life. This is classic stalking behavior, and Ms. Hale deserves the protection of this court, Jonathan countered smoothly. Your Honor, what we have here is a successful woman attempting to use the legal system to silence a man who threatened her carefully constructed image. Mr. Brennan has done nothing illegal. He's attended public events, attempted to communicate with his former business partner, and yes, made a mistake with an address. None of this constitutes stalking. Ms. Hale is powerful, connected, and clearly capable of staging evidence. We ask that this petition be denied. Judge Morrison looked between both tables, her expression thoughtful. I'll take this under advisement. You'll have my decision by end of business Friday. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck. final and harsh. Adrian's stomach sank. He'd hoped for an immediate ruling, protection starting today. Instead, they had to wait another 2 days while Marcus remained free to do whatever he wanted. Outside the courthouse, rain still falling, Vanessa's legal team clustered around her offering reassurances. Adrian hung back, giving them space. Patricia approached him, her expression grim. The judge seemed sympathetic, but she's a stickler for evidence. This could go either way. And in the meantime? In the meantime, we stay vigilant. Marcus knows he's under scrutiny now. He'll either back off or escalate. My money's on escalate. Adrian's phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Lily's school called. Someone tried to pick her up, claiming to be a family friend you'd authorized. School wouldn't release her without calling you first. Security detained the man, but he left before police arrived. They have him on camera. Adrian's blood turned to ice. He showed the message to Patricia, who immediately called her team. Get me that footage, now. Vanessa broke away from her lawyers, seeing the panic on Adrian's face. What happened? Someone tried to pick up Lily from school, Adrian said, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. Someone claiming I'd authorized it. Marcus, Vanessa breathed. He's going after Lily. We don't know that for certain, Patricia said, though her expression said otherwise. Adrian was already moving toward the parking garage. Vanessa closed behind. I'm getting my daughter. I'm taking her somewhere Marcus can't find her. Adrian, wait. Vanessa caught his arm. Where will you go? Marcus has resources, connections, he'll find you. Then I'll keep moving until he can't. Or you stay with me. Vanessa's voice was fierce, determined. My penthouse has security. Marcus's money can't buy. Cameras, guards, panic rooms. You and Lily stay there until this is over. Adrian stopped, looking at her. Vanessa, that's the only logical option, she finished. Please, Adrian, let me protect you the way you've been protecting me. Let me keep Lily safe. Adrian wanted to argue, to insist he could handle this on his own. But the truth was, he was outmatched. Marcus had money, lawyers, and a willingness to cross lines Adrian couldn't even imagine. If Lily was truly in danger, pride was a luxury he couldn't afford. Okay, Adrian said, we'll stay with you, but only until Friday, until the judge rules. Deal. Vanessa turned to Patricia. Get the footage from Lily's school. I want to know if it was Marcus or someone he hired. And increase security at the penthouse. Adrian and his daughter are moving in today. As they raced through the rain toward Lily's school, Adrian's mind churned with fear and fury. Marcus had crossed the line from obsession to genuine threat. And if the restraining order didn't come through, if the judge sided with Marcus's version of events, Adrian didn't know what he'd do. But one thing was certain, he would protect his daughter. Whatever it took, however far he had to go, Lily would be safe. Even if it meant burning down his entire carefully constructed life to keep Marcus away from her. The rain beat against the windshield like 1,000 urgent warnings, and Adrian silently promised both Lily and Vanessa that this would end. Soon. One way or another. Lily's school sat in controlled chaos when they arrived. Police cars lined the curb, their lights painting the wet pavement in urgent reds and blues. Parents clustered near the entrance, voices raised in concern and confusion. Adrian was out of the car before it fully stopped. Vanessa close behind, both of them racing through the rain toward the building. The principal, Mrs. Davidson, met them at the door, her face drawn with stress and apology. Mr. Cole, thank goodness. Lily's fine. She's in my office with Mrs. Chen. We followed protocol exactly. The man had identification claiming he was authorized by you, but we always call to verify. When you didn't answer immediately, we detained him and called the police. What did he look like? Adrian demanded, his heart hammering. Mid-20s, athletic build, said his name was David Morris. He had a letter supposedly from you authorizing him to pick up Lily for a dental appointment. Mrs. Davidson handed Adrian a plastic evidence bag containing a printed letter on what looked like official medical letterhead. The signature at the bottom was a crude forgery of Adrian's name. I never wrote this, Adrian said, his voice shaking with barely controlled rage. I don't know anyone named David Morris. We suspected as much. The police took his information before he left, claimed he'd been given the wrong child's name by his employer. But the security footage tells a different story. Mrs. Davidson led them to her office, where Lily sat on a small couch, clutching her backpack, Mrs. Chen's arm around her shoulders. Daddy! Lily launched herself at Adrian, and he caught her, holding her so tight she squeaked in protest. "I've got you, bird girl. You're safe. I've got you." "There was a man," Lily said, her voice small against his shoulder. "He said you sent him to get me because you were at the hospital with an emergency. But Mrs. Davidson said we always have to call first, so I waited like I was supposed to." "You did exactly right, baby. So smart. So brave." Adrian kissed the top of her head, breathing in the familiar scent of her shampoo, grounding himself in her solid presence. She was okay. She was safe. A police detective approached, introducing herself as Detective Sarah Reeves. "Mr. Cole, we're treating this as an attempted custodial interference. The man gave us a false ID, and when we ran his photo through facial recognition, we got a hit. His real name is Cameron Holt. He's a private investigator who's done work for several corporate firms in the city." "Let me guess," Vanessa said, her voice hard. "One of those firms is connected to Marcus Brennan." Detective Reeves looked at Vanessa with recognition. "Ms. Hale, we're aware of your ongoing situation with Mr. Brennan. This incident fits the pattern of escalation we've been documenting. The question is whether we can prove Mr. Brennan hired this investigator." "He did," Patricia said, appearing in the doorway with her phone in hand. "I just got off with my contacts at 3 different PI firms. Cameron Holt freelances, but his most recent client was Jonathan Pierce, supposedly for background checks on potential business partners. The contract was signed 2 days ago." "The same day as the restraining order hearing," Vanessa said. "Marcus knew the judge might rule against him, so he decided to leverage the one thing that would make Adrian back off: his daughter." Adrian felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. Marcus wasn't just obsessed with Vanessa anymore. He'd made this personal, brought Lily into it, crossed the one line that transformed this from complicated to unforgivable. "What happens now?" Adrian asked Detective Reeves, still holding Lily against him. "We bring Cameron Holt in for questioning, try to get him to flip on whoever hired him. If he confirms it was Marcus or Jonathan, we have grounds for additional charges beyond the restraining order. Conspiracy to commit kidnapping is serious. Marcus won't walk away from that with just a slap on the wrist." "How long will that take?" Detective Reeves's expression was sympathetic but realistic. "Could be hours, could be days. These guys lawyer up fast, and without hard evidence directly tying Marcus to the hire, it's circumstantial. In the meantime, I'd recommend keeping your daughter somewhere Marcus can't predict, somewhere secure." "They're staying with me," Vanessa said firmly. "My building has security protocols that require facial recognition for entry. Marcus won't get within 100 feet of them." Detective Reeves nodded approval. "That's smart. I'll send patrol units to do regular checks on the building, and I'll personally keep you updated on any developments." After giving their statements and collecting Lily's things, they headed to Adrian's apartment to pack. The security team had already swept it, confirming no one had breached the premises, but Adrian moved through the familiar space feeling violated nonetheless. Marcus had reached into his life, tried to take his daughter. Nothing would ever feel completely safe again. "Pack for a few days," Vanessa said gently, helping Lily choose clothes and toys. "We'll get you settled at my place, and you can have your own room with whatever you need." "Will there be bad guys there?" Lily asked, her earlier bravery starting to crack now that the immediate crisis had passed. "No bad guys," Vanessa promised. "Just security guards who work for me. They're the good guys, and their only job is to keep everyone safe, especially you." "Okay." Lily clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit, the one she'd had since she was a baby. "Can Daddy stay in my room? I don't want to sleep alone." "Of course," Adrian said immediately. "I'll be right there with you, bird girl. I'm not going anywhere." 20 minutes later, they were in Vanessa's town car, heading downtown, Patricia driving while 2 additional security vehicles bracketed them front and rear. Lily sat pressed against Adrian's side, unusually quiet, processing everything in that way children did when the world suddenly became more complicated than they were ready for. Vanessa's penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of a building in the financial district. The lobby alone was more luxurious than Adrian's entire apartment: marble floors, modern art on the walls, a doorman and security desk staffed 24/7. They rode a private elevator that required both a key card and fingerprint scan, ascending in silence broken only by the quiet hum of machinery. When the doors opened directly into Vanessa's home, even Adrian, who'd been preparing himself for opulence, caught his breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, the rain-streaked glass turning the lights below into abstract impressionist paintings. The space was modern and elegant, all clean lines and carefully curated art, but somehow it didn't feel cold. There were books on shelves, photographs in frames, a throw blanket draped over a leather couch that suggested actual living happened here, not just existing. "Welcome," Vanessa said, suddenly nervous in a way Adrian hadn't seen before. "I know it's a lot. The guest suites are upstairs, 2 bedrooms with a connecting bathroom. I thought you and Lily could take those, have your own space." "It's beautiful," Adrian said honestly. "Thank you for opening your home to us." "You're not guests," Vanessa said quietly. "You're family, or at least I hope you will be." Lily tugged on Vanessa's hand. "Can I see my room?" "Absolutely. Come on, I'll show you." Adrian followed them upstairs, watching as Vanessa led Lily through double doors into a bedroom that looked like it had been designed for a princess. Soft blue walls, a 4-poster bed with gauzy curtains, bookshelves lined with classics and contemporary favorites. There was even a window seat overlooking the city, perfect for reading. "This is the most beautiful room I've ever seen," Lily breathed, her earlier fear temporarily forgotten in the wonder of discovery. "I'm glad you like it," Vanessa said. "The bathroom connects to your dad's room next door, so you can go back and forth whenever you want. And if you need anything at all, I'm just downstairs." "Thank you, Vanessa." Lily threw her arms around Vanessa's waist, the gesture spontaneous and genuine. "You're really nice." Vanessa's eyes glistened as she hugged Lily back. "You're really nice too, sweetheart." Adrian's room was adjacent, smaller but still luxurious by his standards. King-sized bed, an ensuite bathroom with a rainfall shower, another wall of windows showcasing the city. He set down his hastily packed duffel bag, feeling dislocated and strange. Just 3 weeks ago, his life had been simple, predictable, safe. Now he was living in a penthouse, protecting his daughter from a stalker, falling for a woman who was simultaneously the most powerful and most vulnerable person he'd ever met. "Daddy?" Lily appeared in the connecting bathroom doorway. "Can we eat dinner? I'm hungry." "Of course, baby. Let's see what we can find." Downstairs, Vanessa had already ordered food, Chinese takeout from a place Adrian recognized as ridiculously expensive. She'd changed out of her courtroom armor into jeans and a soft sweater, looking more like the woman who'd slept in his bed than the CEO who commanded boardrooms. They ate at the kitchen island, Lily chattering about her room and asking questions about the building's security features with the morbid curiosity of a 7-year-old who'd just learned the world could be dangerous. Vanessa answered patiently, explaining the fingerprint scanners and cameras and security protocols in terms that were honest, but not frightening. "So basically," Lily concluded, "we're in a fortress." "Basically," Vanessa agreed, smiling. "Cool." Lily took another bite of orange chicken. "Like a castle, but with elevators." After dinner, Adrian gave Lily a bath while Vanessa cleaned up the kitchen. The domestic routine felt surreal in these surroundings, but also somehow right. When Lily was in her pajamas and tucked into the enormous bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit, Adrian sat on the edge and brushed hair from her forehead. "Big day, bird girl." "Yeah." Lily's eyes were already heavy. "Daddy, why does that man want to hurt Vanessa?" Adrian considered his answer carefully. "Because he can't accept that she doesn't want to be with him. Some people, when they can't have what they want, they try to take it anyway. That's not love, baby. That's something broken inside them." "Will he try to take me again?" "Not while I'm breathing," Adrian said fiercely. "And Vanessa's security team is really good at their job. You're safe here, Lily. I promise you that." "Okay," Lily yawned. "I like Vanessa, Daddy. I hope she stays even after the scary man is gone." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." He stayed until she fell asleep, her breathing evening out into the gentle rhythm of childhood dreams. Then he crept out, leaving both doors open so he'd hear if she woke, and went downstairs to find Vanessa. She stood at the windows, silhouetted against the city lights, her arms wrapped around herself. Adrian approached quietly, not wanting to startle her. "She's asleep," he said softly. Vanessa turned, and in the low light he could see she'd been crying. "I'm so sorry, Adrian, for all of this, for putting you and Lily in danger, for dragging you into my mess." "Stop." Adrian closed the distance between them, taking her hands in his. This isn't your fault. Marcus is responsible for his own actions. You didn't make him into a stalker. You didn't make him hire someone to take my daughter. That's all him. But if I hadn't asked for your help that day in the park, then you'd still be dealing with this alone, and Marcus would still be escalating because that's what men like him do. At least this way, you have people around you. Support. Protection. Adrian squeezed her hands gently. And maybe something more, if we're both brave enough to see where this goes. Vanessa looked up at him, vulnerability written across every line of her face. I'm terrified of what I feel for you. It's too fast, too intense. We barely know each other. I know you're brilliant and fierce and kind. I know you make my daughter laugh. I know you haven't had an easy life despite what it looks like from the outside. I know you're the strongest person I've ever met, and also the most afraid of being hurt again. Adrian cupped her face in his hands. That's not barely knowing someone, Vanessa. That's seeing them. I see you too, Vanessa whispered. The way you love Lily with your whole heart. The way you show up for people even when it costs you. The way you make me feel safe in a way I haven't felt in years. Maybe ever. They stood there, inches apart, the city glittering behind them like a galaxy of possibility. Adrian wanted to kiss her, wanted it so badly his chest ached with it. But something held him back, the awareness that Lily was upstairs, that Marcus was still a threat, that crossing this line would change everything irrevocably. When this is over, Adrian said quietly, when Marcus is gone and we can breathe again, I want to take you on a real date. Not for show, not for protection. Just you and me, figuring out if this thing between us is as real as it feels. It is, Vanessa said, with absolute certainty. I already know it is. But yes, when this is over, I want that date. I want 1,000 dates. I want to see where this could go if we gave it a real chance. Then we have something to fight for, Adrian said. Something worth protecting. Vanessa rose on her toes and kissed his cheek, soft and sweet. Thank you for being here, for not running when things got complicated. I don't run, Adrian said. Not from things that matter. And you matter, Vanessa, you and what we're building. It all matters. They stood together at the window for a long time, not touching beyond loosely linked hands, but connected in ways that went deeper than physical proximity. Outside, the city moved through its nighttime rhythms, oblivious to the small drama playing out in this penthouse fortress. Adrian's phone buzzed, breaking the spell. A text from Detective Reeves. Cameron Holt lawyered up immediately. Won't confirm who hired him, but we found the contract in his files. Jonathan Pierce's signature. Payment from a business account Marcus has access to. We're bringing both of them in for questioning tomorrow morning. This should be enough for the DA to file charges. Adrian showed the message to Vanessa, watching hope bloom across her features. They're going to arrest him? Looks like it. If the DA thinks they have enough evidence, Marcus could be charged with conspiracy to commit kidnapping. That's federal. That's serious time if convicted. So it could actually be over, Vanessa breathed. Really over. Let's not celebrate until it's done, Adrian cautioned. But yeah, it looks like we might finally be getting somewhere. That night, Adrian lay awake in the unfamiliar luxury of the guest room, listening to Lily's quiet breathing from the next room and the distant sounds of the city below. His phone buzzed with updates. Patricia reporting that police had eyes on Marcus's apartment, Detective Reeves confirming the arrest warrants would be executed first thing in the morning, Rachel Chen sending a cautious congratulations on what looked like a turning point in the case. But Adrian couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong, that Marcus wouldn't go quietly. Men like him, men who'd invested everything into an obsession, didn't just surrender because the law said so. His instincts proved correct at 4:30 in the morning. The building's fire alarm screamed to life, a piercing wail that jolted Adrian from restless half-sleep. He was on his feet instantly, racing through the connecting bathroom to Lily's room. "Daddy?" Lily sat up, confused and frightened, the alarm making her voice barely audible. "I've got you, baby. Come here." Adrian scooped her up, grabbing her rabbit with his free hand. Vanessa appeared in the doorway, her face pale. "Patricia says it's not a drill. Someone pulled the alarm on the ground floor. Security is checking all floors, but protocol says we evacuate." "Is it him?" Adrian demanded. "Is it Marcus?" "I don't know, but we're not taking chances. There's a secure stairwell that bypasses the public floors. We use that. They moved quickly, Patricia's team materializing from wherever they'd been stationed throughout the penthouse. Adrian carried Lily while Vanessa led them to a reinforced door he hadn't noticed before, hidden behind what looked like a decorative panel. The stairwell beyond was concrete and steel, clearly designed for exactly this kind of emergency. They descended rapidly, the alarm still wailing above them. Adrian's mind raced through scenarios. Marcus pulling the alarm as a distraction, Marcus waiting in the lobby, Marcus somehow breaching security and coming for them in the confusion. At the ground level, Patricia's team exited first, weapons drawn, clearing the space before allowing them through. The building's main security had already established a perimeter, residents streaming out in various states of dress and panic. Adrian spotted Marcus immediately, standing across the street with Jonathan Pierce beside him, both of them watching the building with expressions that made Adrian's blood run cold. "There," Adrian said to Patricia, pointing. Marcus and Jonathan, just standing there watching. Patricia's eyes narrowed. She spoke rapidly into her radio, and within seconds, 2 police officers who'd been stationed nearby for surveillance began moving toward Marcus and Jonathan. Marcus saw them coming. For just a moment, his mask slipped and Adrian saw the raw fury and desperation beneath. Then he turned and ran. "Stop! Police!" The officers gave chase, joined immediately by 2 of Patricia's team. Jonathan, less athletic or less committed, froze in place. He raised his hands as officers surrounded him, his expression shifting from shock to resignation. Within minutes, he was in handcuffs, being read his rights while he protested his innocence with increasingly frantic denials. Marcus, however, had vanished into the pre-dawn streets. "He won't get far," Patricia said grimly. "Every cop in the city has his photo now. And pulling that fire alarm was stupid. We have him on camera. That's trespassing, false alarm, harassment. Add it to the kidnapping conspiracy and he's looking at serious time." "Unless he runs," Vanessa said quietly. "Marcus has money, connections. He could disappear." "Not easily," Detective Reeves said, appearing from where she'd been coordinating with building security. "His passport's been flagged, his bank accounts are being monitored, and Jonathan Pierce is singing like a canary. Apparently Marcus promised him a cut of the settlement money once he sued you for wrongful termination, Ms. Hale. When that fell through, Jonathan got nervous. He's willing to testify about everything, the PI hire, the fire alarm plan, all of it." "So we have him," Adrian said, still holding Lily tight against him. "We actually have him." "We have enough to convict him on multiple charges," Detective Reeves confirmed. "But until he's in custody, you all need to stay vigilant. Cornered animals are the most dangerous, and Marcus just became very cornered." The all-clear came 20 minutes later. The fire department confirmed no actual fire, just the pulled alarm. Residents began filing back into the building, grumbling about lost sleep and false alarms. But Vanessa's security team insisted on a full sweep before allowing them back to the penthouse. "I'm scared, Daddy," Lily whispered against his neck. "I don't like this." "I know, baby. I know. But it's almost over. The police are going to catch Marcus, and then he can't bother us anymore. Promise?" Adrian wanted to promise, wanted to guarantee Lily's safety with absolute certainty. But he'd learned the hard way that some promises couldn't be kept, that the world was unpredictable and sometimes cruel. "I promise I will do everything in my power to keep you safe," he said instead. "And so will Vanessa and Patricia and all the good people working to catch Marcus. We're all on your team, Bird Girl." Back in the penthouse, with enhanced security now stationed on the floor itself, Adrian tried to settle Lily back into bed, but she refused to let go of him, her small body trembling with residual fear. "Stay with me," she pleaded. "Don't go back to your room." "I'm not going anywhere," Adrian promised, climbing into the enormous bed beside her. "Right here all night. You're safe." Vanessa appeared in the doorway, wrapped in a robe, her expression anguished. "Can I get you anything? Water? Warm milk? Extra blankets?" "Stay," Lily said suddenly. "Please, Vanessa. I want you to stay too." Vanessa looked at Adrian, questioning. He nodded, and she crossed to the other side of the bed, sliding under the covers. Lily immediately shifted to press against her, creating a small, warm triangle of bodies seeking comfort and safety. "Tell me a story," Lily mumbled, her eyes already drooping despite her earlier fear. "A good one with a happy ending." Vanessa began speaking softly, spinning a tale about a brave princess who rescued herself from a tower and built a kingdom where everyone was safe and cared for. Adrian listened to the gentle cadence of her voice, feeling Lily relax between them, her breathing eventually evening out into sleep. "You're good at this," Adrian whispered when he was sure Lily was out. "The motherhood thing. I never thought I'd get the chance to find out," Vanessa admitted quietly. "I always assumed I was too focused on work, too damaged from my own childhood. But with Lily, it feels natural, like something I didn't know I was missing until I found it." "She loves you," Adrian said. "I can see it, the way she lights up when you walk in the room, the way she trusts you." "I love her too," Vanessa said, and Adrian heard the wonder in her voice. "And I love you, Adrian. I know it's too soon. I know it's crazy given everything happening, but I do. I love you, and I love Lily, and I want this to be real, not just protection or convenience. Real." Adrian reached across Lily's sleeping form to take Vanessa's hand, threading their fingers together. "I love you too. Have for a while now, I think. Maybe since the restaurant, maybe since the gala, maybe since that first moment in the park when you asked for help, and I couldn't walk away." They lay there in the pre-dawn darkness, Lily safe between them, both knowing that the coming days would be difficult. Marcus was still out there, desperate and dangerous. The legal proceedings would be lengthy and complicated. The media attention would intensify. Their relationship would be scrutinized and questioned. But in that moment, in the quiet sanctuary of Lily's room, they had something Marcus could never touch. They had each other. They had this fierce, unexpected love that had grown from fear and chaos into something solid and real. They had Lily, sleeping peacefully, trusting them to keep her safe. And they had the certainty that whatever came next, they would face it together. Not as strangers helping each other, not as a fake couple playing a role, but as a family choosing each other despite everything trying to tear them apart. As the first light of dawn began painting the city skyline in shades of gold and pink, Adrian allowed himself to hope. Hope that Marcus would be caught, that the nightmare would end, that the judge would rule in their favor. Hope that when the dust settled, this fragile, beautiful thing they'd built would survive and grow stronger. Hope that sometimes the most unexpected moments really could rewrite an entire life. That sometimes stepping forward to help a stranger could lead to finding everything you didn't know you were searching for. That sometimes love was worth the risk, worth the fight, worth weathering every storm that tried to destroy it. Outside, somewhere in the waking city, Marcus was running. But inside the fortress of Vanessa's penthouse, surrounded by security and each other, Adrian and Vanessa and Lily were building something Marcus could never break. They were building a future. And nothing, not fear, not danger, not the shadows of the past, would stop them from claiming it. The sun rose over the city in shades of amber and rose, painting the penthouse windows with light that should have felt hopeful. Instead, Adrian watched the dawn break with a knot of tension in his chest that refused to ease. Lily still slept between him and Vanessa, her face peaceful in a way that broke his heart. She shouldn't have to know fear like this. She shouldn't have to sleep surrounded by security guards because a man she'd never done anything to had decided to use her as leverage. Vanessa stirred, her eyes finding his across the pillow. They didn't speak, didn't need to. Everything that mattered was already said in the way they'd spent the night protecting the small person between them, in the way their hands had stayed linked, even in sleep. Adrian's phone vibrated on the nightstand. He extracted himself carefully, not wanting to wake Lily, and stepped into the hallway before answering. "Mr. Cole, it's Detective Reeves. We have a situation." Adrian's stomach dropped. "What kind of situation?" "Marcus Brennan turned himself in 20 minutes ago, walked into the precinct with his own lawyer, not Jonathan Pierce, and surrendered. He's being processed now, but there's something you need to know. He's asking to speak with you. Says he'll only give a full confession if you agree to meet with him face to face." "Absolutely not," Adrian said immediately. "I'm not getting anywhere near him." "I told him you'd say that, but Mr. Cole, if he confesses, really confesses on record to everything, it makes the case airtight. No trial, no dragging Ms. Hale through months of testimony, no risk of a jury being swayed by his lawyers. He goes away for a long time, and you all get to move on with your lives." "Why does he want to see me?" "He won't say, but he's adamant. You or no confession." Detective Reeves paused. Look, I know what I'm asking, but we can control the situation. Interview room, cameras, multiple officers present, you behind protective glass if you want. He can't hurt you. And if getting this over with means sparing Ms. Hale and your daughter months of looking over their shoulders, isn't it worth considering? Adrian closed his eyes, every instinct screaming to refuse. But Detective Reeves was right. A confession meant closure. Meant Lily could go back to being a kid who didn't need armed guards outside her bedroom. Meant Vanessa could reclaim her life without Marcus haunting every corner of it. I need to talk to Vanessa, Adrian said. You have 2 hours. After that, Marcus withdraws the offer and lawyers up completely. Clock's ticking, Mr. Cole. Vanessa was sitting up when Adrian returned, carefully extracting herself from Lily's sleeping embrace. They moved to Adrian's room, closing the connecting door softly. That was Reeves, Adrian said. Marcus turned himself in. He wants to confess, but only if I agree to meet with him first. Vanessa's face went pale. No, absolutely not. It's a trap, Adrian. It has to be. Reeves says it would be controlled. Interview room, cameras, officers. He can't do anything to me. Physically, maybe. But Marcus is manipulative, Adrian. What if this is just another game? What if he wants to get in your head, make you doubt me, plant seeds of confusion? Vanessa's hands were shaking. I can't lose you because of him. I can't. Adrian pulled her into his arms, feeling her trembling against him. You won't lose me. Nothing Marcus says can change what I know about you, about us. But if this is what it takes to end it, really end it, don't we have to at least consider it? I hate that you're right, Vanessa whispered into his shoulder. I hate that he still has this power, that he can make demands even now. Then we take the power back. I listen to whatever he needs to say, he gives his confession, and he disappears into the criminal justice system forever. Adrian pulled back to look at her. 2 hours, Vanessa. 2 hours and this nightmare might actually be over. Vanessa searched his face, fear and hope warring in her expression. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but I'm coming with you, and Patricia's entire team, and I want our lawyers there to make sure he can't pull anything. Deal. They told Lily together over breakfast that Daddy had to go somewhere important, but would be back soon. Lily, with that unnerving intuition children possessed, looked between them and understood more than they said. It's the scary man, isn't it? You're going to make him go away. That's the plan, bird girl, Adrian said gently. Be careful, Daddy. Bad guys sometimes lie. I know, but I'll have lots of good guys with me to make sure I'm safe. Lily hugged him fiercely. Come back quick. We're supposed to work on my science fair project this afternoon. I wouldn't miss it, Adrian promised, his throat tight. The precinct was a squat concrete building that smelled of burnt coffee and institutional cleaning products. Detective Reeves met them in the lobby, her expression all business. He's in interview room 3. We've got the setup exactly as discussed. You'll be in the adjacent room with one-way glass. He can see his own reflection, but you can see and hear him clearly. There's an intercom if you want to speak, but I'd recommend staying silent unless absolutely necessary. Let him talk. What's he been saying so far? Vanessa asked. Nothing. Literally nothing except that he needs to speak with Mr. Cole before he'll say a word about any of the charges. His lawyer tried to negotiate, but Marcus shut that down. It's you or nobody, Mr. Cole. Adrian's skin crawled with the wrongness of it all, but he nodded. Let's do this. The observation room was small and dark, dominated by the large window showing the interview room beyond. Marcus sat at a metal table, handcuffed, looking thinner than Adrian remembered. His expensive suit was rumpled, his normally perfect hair disheveled. But his eyes, when they lifted to stare at his own reflection in the glass, were intense and burning with something Adrian couldn't identify. He can't actually see you, Detective Reeves reminded Adrian. But he knows you're watching. That's what he wanted. Vanessa stood close to Adrian, her hand finding his. Patricia flanked them, alert and ready despite the multiple locked doors between them and Marcus. Rachel Chen, Vanessa's attorney, watched with sharp legal eyes, ready to intervene if Marcus tried anything problematic. Detective Reeves pressed a button, and her voice carried into the interview room. Mr. Brennan, Mr. Cole is here as requested. You have 30 minutes. Make it count. Marcus leaned forward, staring directly at the glass. Adrian, I know you're there. I know you think you understand what's happening here, but you don't. You're being used, and I need you to know the truth before I lose my chance to tell it. Don't listen to him, Vanessa whispered, but Adrian could hear the fear in her voice. Vanessa Hale is not who you think she is, Marcus continued, his voice calm and rational in a way that was somehow more disturbing than rage would have been. I loved her, truly loved her, and she used that love to destroy me. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I became inconvenient. This is manipulation, Rachel Chen said quietly. Classic abuser tactics, making himself the victim, painting her as the villain. But Adrian found himself listening despite himself, needing to hear what Marcus thought was the truth. I know what the charges say. Embezzlement, harassment, stalking. But the embezzlement was a setup. Vanessa planted evidence to remove me from the board when I started questioning her business practices. Offshore accounts, questionable contracts, things that would damage the company if they came to light. I tried to address it internally, tried to give her a chance to explain. Instead, she framed me. That's a lie, Vanessa said, her voice shaking. Every word is a lie. The harassment, the stalking. I won't deny I followed her, but not to hurt her, to protect her. Vanessa has enemies, Adrian. Competitors who want to see her fail. I was trying to keep her safe, and she twisted that into something sinister. Marcus's voice took on an edge of desperation. And then she found you, perfect you, the noble single father, the caring nurse, someone she could parade around to make me look unhinged. He's trying to break you down, Patricia said. Don't engage. Don't give him the satisfaction. But here's what you need to understand, Adrian. Marcus leaned closer to the glass. She'll do the same thing to you, use you until you're no longer useful, then discard you. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually you'll become inconvenient too. And when that happens, she'll destroy you just like she destroyed me. Your career, your reputation, your relationship with your daughter, she'll take it all if it serves her purposes. Adrian felt Vanessa flinch beside him. He turned to look at her, saw the tears streaming down her face, the way she was folding in on herself like Marcus's words were physical blows. None of that is true, she whispered. Adrian, you have to believe me. I could never. I know, Adrian said firmly, pulling her against him. I know, Vanessa. He's lying. But Marcus wasn't finished. I see it in your face right now, even though you can't see me. You're wondering if there's truth in what I'm saying, wondering if the woman you've fallen for is really who she seems. That doubt, that's all I needed to plant. Because once it's there, it grows. It festers. And eventually, it destroys everything. That's enough, Detective Reeves said into the intercom. Mr. Brennan, you said you wanted to confess. So confess, or this meeting ends now. Marcus sat back, and something in his expression shifted. The desperate man became cold, calculating. I'll confess. I'll admit to every charge they've filed and more. I hired Cameron Holt to take Adrian's daughter. I pulled the fire alarm. I've been following Vanessa for months. I sent the dead roses, made the threatening calls, all of it. I'll sign a confession right now. Why? Adrian found himself asking, his voice carrying through the intercom before he could stop himself. If you're going to confess anyway, why make me come here? Why say all of this? Marcus smiled, and it was the saddest, most broken thing Adrian had ever seen. Because I needed you to know that I loved her. That everything I did came from a place of love, however twisted it became. And I needed to warn you that loving Vanessa Hale is dangerous. Not because she's cruel, but because she's so closed off, so damaged by her past, that she'll push away anyone who gets too close. She'll find a reason to end it before you can hurt her, and when she does, you'll understand why I couldn't let go. You let go right now, Adrian said, his voice hard. You sign that confession. You accept your consequences and you let Vanessa live her life. That's the only thing I need from you. Done, Marcus said simply. Bring in the paperwork. I'll confess to everything. But remember what I told you, Adrian. Remember it when she starts pulling away, when she finds excuses to keep you at arm's length, when she chooses her company over your daughter. Remember that I tried to warn you. The confession took 45 minutes. Marcus admitted to every charge with clinical precision, adding details that made the prosecutor's case even stronger. conspiracy to commit kidnapping, stalking, harassment, criminal trespassing, filing false reports. The list went on, each admission recorded and witnessed. His lawyer looked increasingly uncomfortable, but Marcus was beyond listening to legal advice. He wanted this over. He wanted to confess, to purge himself of the weight he'd been carrying. When it was finally done, Marcus stood. He looked directly at the one-way glass one more time. "I'm sorry, Vanessa, for everything. I hope you find happiness. I hope Adrian gives you what I couldn't. But most of all, I hope you learn to let him in before you lose him too." Then he was led away, and the interview room was empty. Adrian stood frozen, Vanessa trembling in his arms, both of them processing what had just happened. The nightmare was over. Marcus had confessed. He'd be sentenced, likely to decades in prison given the severity and number of charges. It was done. So why did Adrian feel like something had broken that couldn't be easily fixed? "He's wrong," Vanessa said desperately, pulling back to look at Adrian. "Everything he said about me pushing people away, choosing the company over you and Lily, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be." "I know," Adrian said, but even to his own ears, his voice sounded uncertain. "Do you?" Vanessa's eyes searched his face. "Because I can see the doubt. I can see him getting in your head exactly like I was afraid he would." "Vanessa, no, he's right about one thing. I am damaged. My childhood was a disaster. My father barely acknowledged my existence. Every relationship I've tried has failed. I don't know how to do this, Adrian. How to be in a family. How to be a mother to Lily. How to be a partner to you without screwing it all up." Tears poured down her face, unchecked. "And maybe Marcus is right. Maybe I will push you away eventually because that's all I know how to do." Adrian grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "Stop. Stop letting him win. Marcus doesn't get to define who you are or what we could be. Yes, you're damaged. So am I. So is everyone who's lived long enough to get hurt. But that doesn't mean we're broken beyond repair." "You don't know that," Vanessa whispered. "I know that you slept in Lily's room last night protecting her like she was your own. I know that you've put your own safety at risk to make sure we were okay. I know that you told me you loved me, and I felt the truth of it." Adrian's voice was fierce. "Marcus thinks love looks like obsession, like possession. He thinks caring means controlling, but that's not love, Vanessa. What we have, messy and complicated and terrifying as it is, that's real love. And it's worth fighting for." Vanessa collapsed against him, sobbing. "I'm so scared of losing you, of losing Lily, of finally having something good and destroying it because I don't know how to hold on to it without crushing it." "Then we learn together," Adrian said softly. "We make mistakes. We talk about them. We keep showing up for each other. That's how this works. Not perfectly, not without fear, but together." Patricia cleared her throat gently. "Hate to interrupt, but there's a 7-year-old back at the penthouse who's probably worried about her dad. Maybe we should head back?" Adrian nodded, keeping Vanessa close as they left the precinct. Outside, the afternoon sun was bright and warm, spring asserting itself over the last vestiges of winter. The city moved around them, people going about their lives, unaware that in a small interview room, a nightmare had finally ended. The drive back was quiet, Vanessa's hand locked in Adrian's, both of them processing everything Marcus had said and everything that came next. The legal proceedings would continue, sentencing hearings, victim impact statements, the slow, grinding machinery of justice. But the immediate threat was gone. Marcus was in custody, confessed, facing consequences that would keep him locked away for years. They were free. The weight of that realization hit Adrian as they rode the elevator up to the penthouse. Free to live without fear. Free to explore this relationship without performance or protection as excuses. Free to choose each other not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Lily met them at the door, launching herself at Adrian with the enthusiasm of someone who'd been waiting anxiously. "Did you make him go away? Is it over?" "It's over, bird girl," Adrian said, holding her tight. "The bad man confessed to everything. He's going to jail for a long time." "Good," Lily said fiercely. "He was mean and scary, and he made everyone sad." "He did," Vanessa agreed, kneeling down to Lily's level. "But now we don't have to be scared anymore. Now we get to decide what comes next." Lily looked between them, her expression turning serious. "Does that mean you're leaving, now that the scary part is over?" Do you want me to leave? Vanessa asked softly. No. Lily threw her arms around Vanessa's neck. I want you to stay forever. I want you to be part of our family for real, not just pretend. Vanessa's eyes found Adrian's over Lily's shoulder, questioning and hopeful and terrified all at once. Adrian smiled, feeling some of the tension from the precinct finally begin to ease. Then maybe we should talk about that, Adrian said. The three of us. They settled on the couch, Lily between them, and for the first time since that day in the park, they talked about the future without qualifications or contingency plans. What it would look like if Vanessa really became part of their lives. What it would mean for Lily to have someone else in a parental role. What boundaries they needed, what fears they carried, what hopes they barely dared to voice. I've never been a mother before, Vanessa admitted. I don't know if I'll be good at it. You're already good at it, Lily said matter-of-factly. You help with my homework and you listen when I talk and you make Daddy smile again. That's what moms do. Your dad might want to date other people, Vanessa said, looking at Adrian. Take time to figure out what he really wants without the pressure of everything that's been happening. I know what I want, Adrian said firmly. I want you. Not because you're convenient or because we went through trauma together, because you're brilliant and fierce and kind, because you make me want to be braver, because you fit with us in a way that feels like coming home. I want that too, Vanessa whispered. So much it terrifies me. Then let's be terrified together, Adrian said, echoing words from weeks ago that felt like a lifetime. Let's take this slow, figure it out as we go, and trust that what we're building is strong enough to handle our fears. Over the following days, they established a new routine. Adrian and Lily moved back to their apartment, but Vanessa was there almost every evening. They cooked dinner together, helped Lily with homework, watched movies curled up on Adrian's worn couch. On weekends, they explored the city as a family, the zoo, the science museum, the botanical gardens Lily had been begging to visit. Slowly, carefully, they built something real from the ashes of everything that had tried to destroy them. The restraining order came through 2 weeks later, though it was largely symbolic now that Marcus was behind bars awaiting sentencing. Judge Morrison ruled in Vanessa's favor on every point, citing the confession and the overwhelming evidence of escalating harassment. The media attention gradually faded as other stories captured the public's interest. Vanessa's company thrived without Marcus's sabotage. Adrian's co-workers stopped asking invasive questions and started inviting Vanessa to the hospital's social events. Life, improbably, began to feel normal. 3 months after Marcus's confession, on a Saturday afternoon in the same park where everything had started, Adrian took Vanessa's hand and led her to the bench where he'd been sitting that first day. Lily ran ahead, chasing pigeons with the same fearless joy, her laughter carrying on the spring breeze. I've been thinking, Adrian said, watching his daughter play, about what you said at the precinct, about being scared of losing us. Vanessa's hand tightened in his. Adrian, let me finish, he said gently. You were right to be scared. Relationships are scary. Love is terrifying. Opening yourself up to people means giving them the power to hurt you. But here's what I've learned these past few months. The fear doesn't go away. You just decide it's worth it anyway. Is it? Vanessa asked quietly. Worth it, I mean. Adrian turned to face her fully, cupping her face in his hands the way he had that morning at the precinct. Every single day, every moment, every challenge and complication and terrifying possibility, you are worth it, Vanessa, and I need you to believe that. I'm trying, she whispered. Every day I wake up expecting you to realize I'm too much work, too damaged, too complicated. And every day you're still there, and I'm learning to trust that maybe you'll keep being there. I will, Adrian promised, because you're doing the same for me. You could have walked away when things got dangerous, when Marcus targeted Lily. You didn't. You stayed and you fought, and you protected us with everything you had. That's not someone who's going to run at the first sign of difficulty. Vanessa kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, Lily was standing in front of them, hands on her hips. Are you guys being mushy again? She demanded, but her smile was huge. Absolutely, Adrian said, pulling her into a hug. Deal with it. Lily giggled, then looked at Vanessa with sudden seriousness. Can I ask you something? Anything, sweetheart, Vanessa said. If you and Daddy get married someday, Can I call you Mom? Or is that weird since I already have a mom, even though she's not really around? Vanessa's eyes filled with tears, but her smile was radiant. I would be honored if you called me Mom. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready. I'm ready now, Lily said simply. You're more of a mom than Sarah ever was anyway. You actually want to be here. I do, Vanessa said, pulling Lily into her lap. I absolutely do. Adrian watched them together, his daughter and the woman who'd crashed into their lives 3 months ago and somehow become essential, and felt a profound sense of rightness settle over him. This wasn't the life he'd planned. It was messier, more complicated, born from fear and chaos rather than careful intention. But it was theirs. And it was real. And it was worth every moment of terror that had brought them here. The sentencing hearing came in late summer. Marcus received 15 years for the kidnapping conspiracy alone, with additional concurrent sentences for the stalking and harassment charges. He would be eligible for parole in 10 years if he demonstrated genuine rehabilitation and remorse. Adrian, Vanessa, and Lily attended the hearing. Vanessa gave a victim impact statement that was measured and powerful, describing the toll Marcus's obsession had taken on her life and mental health. She didn't ask for maximum sentencing or express vindictive satisfaction. She simply told the truth about what it had been like to live in constant fear. Marcus didn't speak. His lawyer made brief remarks about his client's mental health struggles and expressions of remorse, but Marcus himself sat silent and hollow-eyed, a man who'd gambled everything on an obsession and lost. As they left the courthouse, Lily tugged on Vanessa's hand. Do you feel bad for him? Even a little? Vanessa considered the question seriously. I feel sad that he couldn't let go, that he loved the idea of me more than the real me, and that destroyed both of us in different ways. But no, sweetheart, I don't feel bad that he's facing consequences. What he did was wrong and dangerous and needed to be stopped. Okay, Lily said, satisfied with the answer. Can we get ice cream now? Daddy promised. They got ice cream from a shop near the courthouse, sitting at an outdoor table watching the city move around them. Adrian listened to Lily chatter about her upcoming science fair and Vanessa's suggestions for improving her presentation. He watched the easy way they interacted, the casual affection, the genuine care. This was his family, not traditional, not what he'd imagined when he'd first become a father, but his, chosen and fought for and earned through surviving the worst together. That night, after Lily was asleep in her own bed in their apartment, Vanessa and Adrian sat on the couch in comfortable silence. No security guards outside, no fear of footsteps in the hallway, no constantly looking over their shoulders. Just peace, just possibility, just them. I have something for you, Vanessa said, pulling a small box from her purse. I've been waiting for the right moment, and I think this might be it. Adrian took the box, opening it to find a key. Simple, ordinary, brass. He looked at Vanessa questioningly. It's a key to the penthouse, she explained. I know you love this apartment, and I'm not asking you to give it up. But I want you to have a place in my home too, both of you. I want you to feel like you can come and go, that it's your space as much as mine. Vanessa, I'm not proposing, she said quickly. I know we're not there yet. Maybe we will be someday, but not yet. This is just me saying I'm in this, really in this. And I want you to have a place to land when life gets complicated, or you just need somewhere different to be. Adrian closed his hand around the key, feeling the weight of it, symbolic and real all at once. I love you, he said simply. I know I've said it before, but I need you to hear it now, without fear or crisis or Marcus's shadow. I love you, Vanessa Hale, the real you, not the CEO or the victim or the woman who needed protection. Just you. I love you too, Vanessa whispered. And I'm learning to believe I deserve that love. Learning to believe I won't destroy this through sabotage or fear or all the broken parts of me. We're all broken somewhere, Adrian said, pulling her close. The trick is finding someone whose broken parts fit with yours. I think we might have found that. I think we might have, Vanessa agreed, and kissed him with a promise that tasted like forever. 6 months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, they went back to the park one more time. The trees had turned brilliant shades of orange and gold, leaves crunching underfoot as Lily ran ahead chasing that eternal flock of pigeons. Adrian and Vanessa walked hand in hand, comfortable in the silence between them. This is where it started, Vanessa said, looking at the bench where Adrian had been sitting that day. Where I crashed into your life and turned everything upside down. Best crash I ever experienced, Adrian said. Even with everything that came after, Marcus, the fear, the danger, I wouldn't change it. Because it brought you to us. I wouldn't change it either, Vanessa said, though I reserve the right to wish the journey had been less terrifying. Fair enough? Lily ran back to them, slightly breathless. Dad, can Vanessa and I go look at the fountain? There's a dog there and I want to pet it. Go ahead, Adrian said. I'll catch up. He watched them walk away together, Lily's small hand in Vanessa's larger one, both of them laughing at something. The afternoon sun caught in Vanessa's hair, turned Lily's braids to gold. Two people who hadn't known each other 4 months ago, now as essential to each other as breathing. Adrian's phone buzzed, a text from his mother checking in on their plans for Thanksgiving. She'd met Vanessa twice now, had taken to her immediately despite her initial reservations about Adrian dating someone so fancy. His father had been even easier to win over. One conversation about vintage cars and Vanessa had him wrapped around her finger. Everything was falling into place. The pieces of their lives fitting together in ways that felt both miraculous and inevitable. As Adrian started toward the fountain, toward his daughter, and the woman who'd become his partner, in every way that mattered, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. For the stranger who'd asked for help. For his own choice to give it. For the courage they'd both shown in fighting for this fragile, beautiful thing they'd built. Life wasn't a fairy tale. There would be challenges ahead, navigating their relationship long-term, helping Lily adjust to having Vanessa as a permanent presence, managing the demands of Vanessa's career and Adrian's work. Nothing was guaranteed, nothing was perfect, but it was real. And it was theirs. And sometimes Adrian had learned that was enough, more than enough. Daddy, Lily called. Come see, the dog knows tricks. Coming, bird girl, Adrian called back, breaking into a jog. And as he reached them, his daughter, his love, his unexpected family, Adrian Cole understood that sometimes the most important moments weren't the dramatic ones. They were afternoons in parks watching dogs do tricks. They were quiet evenings helping with homework. They were the small, ordinary choices to keep showing up, keep loving, keep building something worth protecting. Vanessa looked at him with eyes full of love and promise and hope for the future. Lily tugged his hand, eager to show him the dog's repertoire. The autumn sun painted everything in shades of gold. This was not how Adrian's story was supposed to go, but it was how it went anyway, and that made all the difference. Because sometimes, when a stranger asks for help, you say yes, and sometimes that single yes rewrites your entire life into something better than you ever imagined possible. Sometimes surviving the storm together builds foundations stronger than any careful plan ever could. Sometimes love finds you in the least expected moment and refuses to let go. And sometimes, just sometimes, that's exactly how it's supposed to be.